better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
I will say I'm in Todd's wing wheelhouse in terms of percentage, but
Thank
I am
you.
a 120-pound woman. So
All right, well,
I've been eating the same amount of wings since I was like 8, but I fuck with it.
Katrina, I find everything you're saying extremely hurtful.
I started off trying to be supportive, but I realized that it in fact was not. I apologize.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And today we have a very special guest, Katrina Davis from Podvantgarde.
Yay!
Thank you so much for joining us, Katrina.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about this.
We are too. And it was your pick, and you made us watch
Boomerang.
Yes. So, okay, this is my first time seeing it. When did you guys first see Boomerang?
This morning.
Yeah, same,
Yeah,
Mikey.
last night. This was actually my first time as well.
Okay, so Katrina, what was your first experience with Boomerang?
So I actually am also watching it for the first time for this podcast. My parents had this soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the soundtrack is fire.
It is.
And my dad alphabetized all of his CDs. So I just always saw Eddie Murphy, Boomerang, like it was the front of the bees. Like that was just, I had this movie burned in my brain, but I had never seen the movie.
Oh.
And then Paige was like, oh, pick. And so it was just one of mine. And I was like, I've always wanted to see this. And I'm really glad that we get to talk about it for this podcast.
Me too. Okay, so let's talk first impressions then. So what do you guys think about it having seen it the first time?
I loved it.
I, in the past 2 years, have ended up watching almost all of the movies that Eddie Murphy ended up helping writing and produce in the 90s. There was a stretch of time where he was writing movies and producing them as opposed to being in movies that other people wrote.
I did see that he produced this one. I don't know who wrote this movie, but I know he produced it.
He co-wrote it.
Did he? Okay, interesting.
He co-wrote it with 2 other people.
Cool.
And all of those movies, this, Harlem Nights, and Vampire in Brooklyn, all have similar problems where they're not paced great and the story struggles a bit. And I think now that I've seen all 3, I have a theory that Eddie Murphy is writing them the way you would write sketches. So there's sections of the movie that are hilarious.
Yes.
There's these hilarious moments. It's incredibly quotable. You've got great characters, great performances. Everyone wants to be in it. But you've got a 2-hour movie where not much happens. I think there's a ton of things in this movie that I have seen quoted or referenced that I didn't realize were from this movie, which is huge.
Yeah.
The scene in the restaurant where Strange is exposing herself to Eddie Murphy.
And to everyone.
Iggy Azalea sampled that scene, the audio of that
Wait,
entire
really?
scene, for a song that came out before Fancy. This is super ridiculous early Iggy Azalea. And the song is just called Pussy. And it opens
I
with
love that song.
scene. That song is so fucking catchy.
It's really good.
She's very good in concert.
I forgot that you said, did she play Pussy when you saw her?
She did.
It's so good, right? It shouldn't be as catchy of a
It is
song.
catchy.
It's my favorite concert. Free tickets, free alcohol,
Free
food.
cookies.
Iggy Azalea, Pitbull. I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen
Oh
tonight.
my gosh. Wow. What a combo.
And that lady verbally assaulted you, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
She told you to suck her dick,
Yes.
and I love her for that.
It's crazy.
Iggy Azalea did?
No.
No. I wish. What a story.
Yeah, Mikey broke Iggy Azalea's heart, and so she told him to suck her dick. Yeah.
I was at a bar, and this girl's next to me, and I tried to chat her up, and she was like, suck my dick. And I was like, all right.
I do like that. But I feel like Paige is far more versed in actual structure and what movies are supposed to be. But for at least the first 20 minutes of this movie, I was just so happy and enamored with this world he created where like the first note I have is just in all caps, so many black people.
Yes.
Well, and it's like a who's who of so many big actors.
Yes, it was just like everyone walking through the lobby in
Yes.
the intro. It was just like I was losing my mind. So now that you say all the things you just said, I'm like, yeah, that's valid. But I was not.
Oh, yeah. It's as if two giant cosmetic companies are fully staffed only with people of color.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever seen that on screen like this. I don't think you've seen it since, to be honest.
Yes.
And I do have some fun facts about it. Correct me if I'm wrong. You used to work in the art department at a cosmetics company, did you not?
Yes, I like still do art and marketing for cosmetics. And it's funny because it started and I was watching it with my boyfriend. He was like, oh shit, this movie's like perfect for you. And I was like, oh wow.
Was that because he was like, because you look just like a young Halle Berry?
No, not at all.
Well, he missed a golden opportunity.
I thought of y'all because they totally Sandy B her in this movie and it's hilarious.
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
That's Halle Berry, the dorky
Yes.
assistant.
Look how like in what world is this broad mousy? I'll fucking fight you. But
I loved at the end when she was like, I know I'm not the most glamorous. And I was like, Holly, you are the most attractive woman I've seen on this screen the entire movie. I'm just going to say it.
I'm going to full stop you right there at the beginning of your sad monologue that you're wrong. I just...
Well, you see, Katrina.
Wow.
Katrina.
I think you were trying to say critique and Katrina at the same time, and it did not work out for you.
You see, Katrina, the world is full of invisible Halle Berrys who are assistants teaching kids art on their spare time.
Yes. Oh my God. No, but I did like it. And there is an old interview of Eddie on Jay Leno where Jay's basically being like, oh yeah, people have talked about or critiqued this movie for like the mainly black cast and all of this.
I've seen this interview.
Yeah. And he kind of just has a great, well-rounded response of just like, yeah, I wanted to show this. Because it was a guy in the New York Times wrote an article that like pointed out. And he was like, if anything, that also kind of shows of those people that you would see a huge, well-run marketing place with a bunch of black people and be like, well, who's running this place? Like, why does there have to be like that whole thing? And I was like, oh, snap. But yeah.
That's great. There doesn't need to be an overabundance of white people. I love when they run into the guy at the clothing store or whatever, like the three main male characters.
the French.
And then the dude's like overtly racist to them. And I also love that like the build up to that is like since the beginning, Martin has been talking about everything is racist. And then they actually like come face to face with that.
I love the mix of like Martin playing just a paranoid version of his character on Martin.
Yeah.
But it being a bunch of stuff that he isn't actually, and the fact that his other friends are like, no, you're wrong. This isn't racist.
Well, until the scene, because then they're like, no, that's absolutely bonkers.
Yes, until we are all clearly on board that this guy's being abhorrently racist.
But then they get to the pool table, and I'm like,
Fuck, I
okay,
love that pool
I'm
table
kind of
scene.
with him on this one. Like, I'm kind of with Martin because, like, this makes a weird amount of sense.
He had me up until the flat earth part, right? Like everything else, I was like, you know what? I get all of this. But in that scene with the clothing store, I love that they fuck with that guy on the way out.
Oh, so good.
So funny.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like if you're going to have people be afraid of you for no reason, at least use it to your advantage
Like lean into it.
I liked it. But I think part of Paige's thing is that I thought like the first hour like sets up a different movie. And then I'm like, wait, Halle Berry's the love interest out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you didn't see that coming?
no.
I did, but they didn't spend enough time on it, I think.
I thought it was going to be the main, like what's her face? I don't ever learn any character's name.
Robin Givens.
Her name's Jacqueline, but it's Robin Givens.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be like a back and forth of like, we're both kind of players and then like, kind of falling in love. But then it was like, no, it's Halle Berry with the
I
art
can
from
see that
Northfield.
happening too. Yeah.
I thought when he sort of handed Halle Berry off to Gerard, David Allen Greer's character, that they were going to be like the perfect match because they sort of seemed like both sort of mouthy,
did
sort of
think that
nice,
for a
fun people,
second.
but like sort of understated people, right?
Yes.
And then when that doesn't work out, that's when I was like, oh, Halle Berry is going to be the love interest that actually holds on. And I really did like that, honestly. And I sort of like the rift between David Allen Greer and Eddie Murphy. And I like how they focused at the very end on them fixing that part of the relationship too.
Yes.
And also the Empire State Building light going back on.
Oh my
at that
gosh.
moment. I love that
paused
sort of
that
symbolism.
and like replayed it.
Yeah, I loved it.
I really liked that. And I do feel like the only thing I thought of later was that I kind of wish Halle Berry had another friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they
Yes.
just make her this like mousy workaholic that like has no other, like, did she have any friends before she ran into this group of dudes? You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
She's an invisible Halle Berry.
I know there's just like people body checking her on the street. Get out of here. And she's like, no, I'm Halle Berry.
I've got paint and a ponytail.
But I liked that they allowed her and Gerard to remain platonic and like each
Yes.
other, the way she like comes over when his parents are there and all that. I was like, I kind of like that they did this
Yeah.
for these two characters. And I only was okay with them not being together because I feel like in a lot of movies they do that. But in real life, two boring people don't fucking want to fuck each other.
Yeah.
That's
No.
boring.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't hang out. She would hang out with someone that you low-key have more things in common with, but may outwardly be more your opposite. So I did kind of like that they didn't end
Yeah.
up working out so
Yeah.
easily, like puzzle piecing them together.
I do agree with Paige, though, that there are some like weird, I don't even know if I'd call it pacing issues, but like Halle Berry moves in with him like immediately. Like that felt very like fast, right?
Yeah.
I felt like there were time jumps I missed. Yes.
There are.
Were they just like not addressing time jumps?
They weren't at all.
They weren't
yeah.
because there are clear time jumps, but also Robin Givens also doesn't have friends. This is written
Yes.
purely from a male point of view.
Yeah.
100%. And definitely because Eddie Murphy does all the same things that Robin Givens does. Literally all the
Yes.
same. And yet she's supposed to be the villain. Like that drove me kind of nuts through the entire movie.
Oh no, I thought there was like he's finally getting his
Yes,
comeuppance.
that's what I thought
Right.
too.
He doesn't really learn until the very end when they're like, just kidding, he learned it with Halle Berry.
I was just about
Yeah.
to say, I didn't think she was a villain until the end. I felt like she was, like you're saying, they were showing her as the full-on female counterpart
Right.
of how he sees relationships and all this stuff.
Yes.
So I like hilariously pitied him. Most of the movie, I was like, oh, he's catching feelings, but did not feel like Robin Givens was a bad person until that last meeting. And then I
Same.
was like, oh, you play mind games. And then I felt like they made her the villain. But you
Yes.
felt like she was the villain earlier.
I did because now granted I did laugh and pity him, but they definitely characterize her as being manipulative when she is
Yes.
doing the exact same thing.
Oh, you don't feel like they characterize Eddie Murphy as being manipulative? I feel like they did early
No,
on.
I think they do. That's the problem. I think Eddie
Oh.
Murphy is a manipulative asshole,
Yeah.
and I don't really
Yeah.
like his character.
No.
And then he comes up against someone who does the same thing that he does,
Right.
and for some reason, it's less acceptable for her than it is for him.
Oh, I didn't feel that.
Me either. I thought it was not acceptable in either sense.
Yeah.
And that's why when he gets his comeuppance, you're like, ha, you deserve this. I might feel a little bad for you, but like, it's good for you to get a taste of your own medicine because you were treating women like shit like for years before this.
So for a minute, I thought when she moved in, when Halle Berry moved in, he was gonna have like that speech with her of like, I used to do this, and this is how I've grown and stuff like that. But then he just sleeps with her again, and
Or doesn't, sort of, almost does.
That's kind of my issue is like, we don't really see growth with Eddie Murphy. Like, we see him say a few things, but like, in the end, he fully cheats on Halle Berry,
Yes.
doesn't even really apologize for it in the moment, doesn't feel bad for it. In fact, defends it as like, sometimes you don't choose shit like this.
And sometimes you can't even stop yourself, which I was like,
I
that is
hate that.
ridiculous.
Well, I thought that playback scene was supposed to show that the fact that he didn't fully have sex with Robin Givens, the fact that they were just grinding, making out with her in lingerie, but he got up and left was supposed to be some redeeming thing. That's why I thought they went back and showed that scene, was to make us feel better.
he's like, wait, this is wrong. I live with someone.
That's not the one that, like, he cheated on her and then went back to Robin Givens.
Yes.
That's a scene after. So
Right.
like,
Yeah,
he
that's what I thought.
fully cheated on Halle Berry.
I thought that scene was a flashback
No.
to that
No,
night.
No, I think it's another time jump issue. He was like with her or like back to his old ways when she moved out.
No, I thought that was them showing what happened that night when he slunk into bed.
No.
Because I thought that was why they were making it like he's not that bad. They didn't
Nope.
totally
Yeah.
fuck. I'm more upset now.
So I do see Paige's point of like,
Yes.
a man realizes he's an asshole, so everyone should accept him now that he's grown
Thank you.
Yeah.
without consequences.
And not only that, a man realizes he's an asshole. Everyone should accept him because he's air quotes grown, even though we've seen no evidence of that. Halle Berry has no assurances that he's not going to immediately be trash again.
They make a joke about it. The end of the movie is them joking about him possibly not changing that much.
Yeah.
Well, and her ending up alone with 2 kids, Katrina.
Yeah. On the flip side, we have Robin Givens, who does all the same stuff as Eddie Murphy, and they're just like, what an evil bitch. And I'm just like,
Oh, I just didn't read the movie like that.
I didn't feel that way either, but I do feel, Paige, that you may have felt that way because we don't see Eddie. We see him on the phone. We see him ordering flowers for too many women.
Right.
We see all the aftermath, but we didn't see him in bed with a woman doing her dirty the way you hear Robin Givens be like, oh, are you fine? Like you thought this what this was? The scenes where you get to see her be that cold, we don't really get with him. We kind of just start with the aftermath of his playboyness.
Right.
So like she gets an unfair shake in how much they show of her being this way, maybe.
yeah, because I think he was doing all the same things. And I think there's evidence with like the single rose.
Oh, he absolutely is. Yeah, no, Paige, you're
The
absolutely right.
single rose cracked me up. The way that they
Yes.
make them parallels and the way that he's like, you're in. But I did like the way that he was properly verbalizing, like, no, you're being inconsiderate right now.
Yeah.
And all of that, like,
He was like,
you
I know the single rose trick. I do the single rose trick.
The opening of the movie, he has a phone conversation where he's like, oh, I was in an accident. Like, I'm fine. You didn't see it on the news.
Yes.
Which is essentially what she did to him with the plane. And he's just like, okay, bye. And like, does not care about how inconsiderate he's being.
Yeah.
And then when it's thrown back at him, he's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And there's a part
Right.
of me that's like, the lack of self-awareness is very frustrating. I don't think he ever really achieves self-awareness as to how his behavior is reflected back on him. And
It's a lack of empathy for sure.
You could still sleep around and be empathetic.
Mikey, this is not a personal attack on you. This
Yeah,
is a very
this is
different
not- this is
situation.
not
It
about
has
you.
nothing to do about you, Mikey.
And here's the thing. If he was going into all of these interactions with women honestly and openly and being like, I don't want to pursue this, that's a different story. But that's not what he does.
Yeah, I agree. If a girl turned to me and said, you get a gold star tonight, I'd be like, after tonight, this is over.
Well, I mean, just he's tricking women. Like,
he
we
is.
watch
Right.
him do it.
And at one point, he almost uses that as a positive where
Yes.
he's talking with his friends and he's like, I'm a romantic. And it's like,
Yes.
you're a liar.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that's not the same thing.
And it's not till David Alan Grier calls him on it later. And
Yeah.
I'm like, David Alan Grier had more of a growth arc than Eddie Murphy did.
David Alan Grier is
Yeah.
probably more of a romantic than Eddie Murphy really is. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so what I wanted to have happen is him, before they even get back to her apartment, was for him to be like, no, I can't do this. I'm in love with Halle Berry. Like that, this is over
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, but
No, instead, months into
Right.
his relationship, he's like, oh, I'm kind of bored and she doesn't really get me.
And that's what I mean. That was literally another time jump of him being with Rod. I'm so mad.
Now, I think it's a time jump of only a couple days, but like,
Oh, okay.
You can't watch Star Trek with every woman.
yeah, that's true. That only fixes part of Eddie Murphy's growth arc for me. It doesn't fix
Right.
any of how I feel like they treat Robin Givens in this movie.
Sure.
I think the movie would have worked better thematically if him and Robin Givens did end up together, but it was like a War of the Roses type, one-upping each other of like, well, my plane was late, here's my one rose. And it's like, I do that
Yeah,
to you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then like they end up catching strong feelings instead of bringing in innocent, invisible Halle Berry to destroy.
Invisible.
Two jerks falling in love. I like movies like that.
Oh, that's fair. If they're gonna have him sleep with her again, I would have rather them actually have tried to have a relationship then and show
Yeah.
like a real time jump of him like trying to watch Star Trek with Robin Givens and
Right.
more of her watching sports that he doesn't care about and like actually trying with her and realizing it didn't work.
yeah.
Right.
But the fact that he just like dipped it in a couple more times and then was like, you're right, I suck. I'm so mad.
I also feel like for the amount of time Robin Givens gets on screen for that relationship that doesn't end up together versus what Halle Berry gets for the one that does.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so off.
Yeah.
But it's because Robin Givens has a lot more lingerie trench coat combinations than Halle Berry does. Like, you can only show but so many fun hats before you're like, yeah, we get it. You're cute and you paint with kids. Let's show Tyson's wife. Like,
Yes.
that's obvious.
That comes up in fun facts because that was right around the same time.
Yep, I thought so.
But she gets 3 sex scenes. Halle Berry gets none. We also spend a full 40 minutes of just watching Eddie Murphy be kind of a trash human before romance pops off with anybody.
Yeah.
Except for Eartha Kitt, which I love. Keep that in this movie.
I would fuck Eartha Kitt to this day.
She looks amazing.
I also love that every time you see a picture of her from then on, she's not even in the room. You just overhear her, Marcus. I'm just like,
The poster, yes.
Yeah.
It's so like her pussy haunts him. Like,
Yeah.
We've all got a few.
a few what, Mikey?
Cat women's.
I was just trying to trick
Hauntings.
you into saying it.
Yeah, you're not going to get Mikey to say it.
I knew y'all would with that scene in the restaurant. I'm not going to be tricked again. I was recently tricked.
Oh yeah, you were. I
I
forgot.
saved that
was
word for
very funny.
partners
Oh, Mikey.
and casual acquaintances.
Oh, so maybe we should get into the movie so we can talk about it scene by scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the movie opens with a crazy quote that just says, "Yeah, this is a story of famous dogs. For the dog that chases its tail will be dizzy."
Which you know why though? That's George Clinton.
Parliament Funkadelic.
This reminded me of the don't that
Yep.
just comes up.
will be
Yes.
yeah.
Woof. That's what it is. They
Yeah,
just do a woof.
the barking in the movie is amazing.
Hilarious.
Every time a woman comes on screen, I was like, this is progressive.
yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, I think for 92, this movie was a little progressive, but it feels so regressive now.
But it's like, have I gotten barked at? Absolutely. Have I gotten growled at? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't love
But
it.
a growl's an aggressive thing.
I don't like that.
Oh, I've been growled at.
There are plenty of moments where guys are acting what I would say is probably like 92's version of charming to women, and I'm like, this is real predatory and gross.
Yeah. I get real frustrated with, like, because Eddie Murphy is clearly bullshit through the first 40 minutes of this movie. Everything he says is a lie, essentially.
100%.
And so at a certain point, I just got real tired of hearing him say those things to women, where I was just like, girl, walk away. No. His neighbor is correct. His neighbor who's
I was just
wearing
about to
two
say you
curlers.
became Gina.
Look,
I
we've
became
all had a
Gina.
neighbor we've hooked up with who warns your future partners not to be with you.
Mikey, I thought that you guys didn't hook up, Mikey.
What?
What? I mean, we didn't hook up. I mean, like all the way hook up.
Oh, okay. I met this neighbor he's talking about. She was gorgeous.
Mikey won't shit where he sleeps, but he will shit where he naps. Like, that's too close still.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Katrina, he did move immediately afterwards.
Okay,
It was in
cool.
the lockdown. It was during the lockdown. We can't all be judged on our actions during lockdown.
Some of us can.
Did you already know you were gonna move?
I mean, I bought a house.
No, when it started, he was making no plans of moving. And then she was like, hey, maybe I should cook for you. And he's like, I'm going to start looking for houses.
No, she cooks so good though. I still have one of her plates.
You packed a plate? You packed a plate and moved it?
How else is he going to get her to come over, Katrina?
You should have dropped that off. Why are you
didn't-
wrapping newspaper on
We
ish that isn't even
we
yours?
still hang out occasionally. She brought some more
okay,
baked
okay,
goods
okay.
over.
I thought she brought some more baked goods over.
Yeah, she did. Mikey, you could do a lot worse. She was beautiful. I liked her a lot, actually.
is beautiful.
She was really nice.
She's very beautiful. Just not the one to watch Star Trek with. You know
When
what I'm
I
saying?
helped Mikey move, when he called me the day of his move, and he was like, hey, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, I'm happy to.
You mean when my other friend got into a car wreck because he had a DUI and then
Yeah, all I remember is you calling me last minute and me dropping everything to help you as a friend. But but yeah, I met her that day and she was very, very sweet.
Anyway, this neighbor in the movie is Tisha Campbell.
Yes.
And she's been in
Yes,
like a
Tisha.
million and a half things. Yeah.
God, I love her.
Man, everyone in this movie's been in a bunch of things. Like everyone in this movie was either big at the time or went on to be huge.
Yeah. I love her because she looks different types of crazy every time we see her.
Yes.
as you do when you're at home.
When she invites him over at the end and he says no, and she's like, then jump off the balcony, fuck yourself or whatever. I was like,
I loved it.
God, I love this
The
woman so much.
immediate switchback, her signs,
Yes.
just the best.
Well, in that last scene where she's telling him to jump out the balcony, she has one curler in front
Yeah.
and one on the side and no other curlers.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
That's
what
what
is happening?
I was like, did you just like put in two curls and then be like, let me see what this dude doing? Like, finish a task. What are
I
you
do
doing?
feel like she does have severe ADHD. Yes.
Oh, I love her so much.
Me too.
Anyway, so we open on an office building and we watch as Eddie Murphy arrives at the office. Now, as we talked about just a couple minutes ago, this office is entirely cast with people of color. There's not a white person in sight.
Right.
Which, again, have not seen probably before or since. And I think what the movie does really well is that you don't notice after a while. It's just an office.
Yeah.
And it does it really, really well, where it's like any complaints that this would be strange go out the window because you stop noticing almost immediately.
Because you're just like, oh, look at all these competent people working. They didn't make it like...
That's the part that's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no one like doing their nails when they should be doing something else or something. Yeah.
Go over to my office full of, my bosses listen now, very competent people, top to bottom.
Early fun fact.
Okay.
The wardrobe budget on this movie is one of the highest almost ever at this time.
Wow.
But also specifically for a movie of this type. Like, this isn't a giant historical epic. This is a rom-com.
Yeah.
It has one of the highest wardrobe budgets because they dressed even the like extras, like even your featured extras are dressed in fashionable, like not just business, but like elevated business. So this office,
The colors are amazing.
yes, it's so cool looking.
Okay, so since you're talking about fashion, can I just say that when Eddie Murphy's wearing that red blazer, I was like, I got to get a red blazer like that. That thing is...
With
that
no
shit is
lapels.
sick.
And I would wear it with lapels or without. I just love that color red. I was like, fuck, I got to get one of those.
Well, he looks great
He does.
constantly in this movie.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
peak Eddie Murphy. He looks
Yes.
amazing.
He looks fantastic.
Every single woman that walks through the office is dressed impeccably.
Yeah.
Even when Halle Berry's dressed down, she is put together.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Oh, yeah. Her dress down is just a bunch of sick ass, like 90s Afrocentric stuff. Like, she looks
Yes.
like an adult from a different world. Like, if one of those kids actually
From
got
the
a
TV
job.
show A Different World.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to
Yes.
flip my glasses up and look at you real quick, like, but I don't have them.
I wanted a pair of those so bad when I was little.
Me too.
There was that one incompetent guy.
Wait, Chris Rock? He's competent. He just gossips.
No, the marketing guy is like, am I on my own?
Oh, how dare you talk about Nelson
Nelson's
like
the
that?
best.
I fucking love Nelson.
James Earl Jones' sexy brother.
I love his voice too.
He's like if James Earl Jones had a brother that just was out of control and they were like, we don't talk about him. Like
Jimmy Earl Jones.
Jimmy's just like, we don't talk about him. He's got his own thing going on. That freaking commercial.
That commercial.
Both of them.
How into the movie is that commercial? Like 5 minutes?
Okay, so we're about to get to the first
Yes,
one.
yeah, let's
in
get
just
there,
a
let's
sec.
get there.
But yeah,
Yes,
so like
that's what I'm thinking of the first one.
yeah, as he walks through the lobby, he does meet Chris Rock for the first time, who's like, when are we going to hang out? And we will find out that this is like Chris Rock's like third day at the office.
Yeah. Yeah, like later in the movie, he talks about how he's been there 8 days, but that's like the middle of the movie. Yeah.
9 days, and I've been on time most of the time.
Even when it rained.
Even in the rain.
Yeah.
My first thought was stop screaming in this echoey lobby. Like he's just yelling people's business the whole movie. And I'm just like, stop.
Chris Rock can't not scream. Like that's who he is.
That's why his high top fade is so big. It's full of secrets.
It's full of secrets.
When Jacqueline breaks up with him and he's like walking to the lobby all sad, and he's like on the like a floor up from him.
yelling at
and
me.
he's like, hey, why are you
Yeah.
so sad? Is it because Jacqueline broke up with you? And Eddie Murphy's like, shut up, man. Not everyone knows I was fucking Jacqueline.
So funny.
So funny.
That's like my office. Okay, so let's talk about his smile.
Who? Eddie Murphy's or
I didn't know Chris Rock had like a chipped tooth, or I don't know if it was like.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
got that fixed?
Money fixes that
Yeah.
shit.
And I was
Mo
like,
money,
I
mo
thought he
teeth.
fixed it before '92.
It was probably between this and like New Jack City. Does he have a chipped tooth in New Jack City?
No,
fucking
I've
love
seen
New
New Jack
Jack
City,
City.
but his tooth is still fucked up in New Jack City because he actually plays a junkie for part of New Jack City.
Yeah.
And then like kind of gets his act together.
So my question to y'all is: at what point, when you get famous, do they tell you to fix your broken tooth?
I mean, somebody would tell you that now.
Because it seems like kind of a dick move. Like, does an agent do it, or a stylist, or like who does
If
that?
I had a chipped tooth, my manager would probably be like, hey, eventually
Yeah.
you're going to need to work on that shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so removed from that world. I was like, give me the insider scoop.
You definitely get told early on.
Yes. People will tell you before you start asking. You could pay $5 at a mic and somebody will be like, hey, you're funny. What the fuck are you going to do about your mouth?
Yeah.
What you do with that mouth?
I mean, I've asked similar questions, but not under that context.
Not what that mouth do. What are you going to do about that mouth?
What are you doing?
Not as hot.
I think a perfect example is Cardi B, where when Cardi B was on,
That reality TV show.
yes, and I think it's Love and Hip Hop. I think is what she was on.
Was she in Love and Hip Hop?
I might be wrong, but she was on a reality show and her teeth were fucked up.
Really?
She raps about it.
She raps about it. Got a bag and fixed
Got
my
a
teeth.
fix.
Yeah, that was her through the wire, Mikey. I can't believe you didn't realize that.
People be flexing on healthcare. It's a whole thing. You're just happy to be healthy. It comes out in the lyrics.
Anyway, so Cardi B on a reality show, and they show on the show people being like, you want to be a rapper and your teeth are fucked up. And she's like stripping at the time to like pay her way. And right around the time she gets like one of her first EPs out, she gets like her first check, and that's the first shit she does.
Yep.
Is goes and fixes her teeth and then raps about everyone who talked shit on her teeth for like ever.
I love it.
But yeah, I would say way before you get famous, people point out your flaws and are like, you have a choice. You can keep it or you can change it. You know, when you have the money to change it, we'd recommend changing it.
One of the first things I did when I started making money was get Invisalign. And that was like 8 months ago I started doing that.
Yeah.
One of the first things I did was bought a TV.
I mean, I will eventually get veneers just because, like, my teeth are kind of thrashed. Like, I've had some rough dental history, and so it would be very nice to just have veneers and not have to worry as much about it.
They're like $600 a tooth, Paige. I've looked into it.
They're $2,000 a tooth in LA, dude.
You got to come to Nashville where dental work is cheaper and probably not as
Yeah,
good.
come get your teeth over here.
That'll be Paige's line. Went to Nashville, got my teeth fixed.
Now I'm just spitting country.
Straight country. Or like I just got a bunch of like anti-aging stuff because like I'm pretty open about how old I am, but you'd be amazed how many people just don't ask.
Yeah.
And are just like, you're like 23, right? And you just shrug.
Let people think whatever. Yup. Yeah, I definitely know exactly what I'm going to fix. So
Yeah.
people don't bring it up to me like the next time I get a little chunk of money.
I do
Yeah,
love that we're
yeah.
like talking about what are we going to fix about ourselves when we finally get some money?
This commercial made me really think about a lot about who I am as a woman, what I bring to the table.
I want to buy some perfume that's been birthed.
Anyway, so like let's get back to the movie because this could be a
Absolutely.
real long,
Yeah.
real nuanced, but like depressing conversation about how the industry's demands on people's appearance.
I do also love that we just went through the, like, each of us, like, what do people hate about us?
Can't fix my personality, Todd.
I know, we've tried, Mikey.
Anyway, back to this movie. So he gets to his office. He talks to his administrative assistant about essentially sending single long stem roses to a list of women. It's like 8 women. And they all have a tag that says thinking only of you. Yeah, which is some gaslighting shit. Then she says, Anita called, and then Nelson is waiting for you. So he goes in to meet with Nelson, and this is the first commercial we see for Kiss lipstick.
This commercial, I literally, so like my dog Snuka, she's got back problems, and we took her to the vet yesterday, and it was like this whole thing. But she was laying next to me, and I covered her eyes during this ad because I was like, "You're too young to watch this."
I was like, that lady really likes banana splits.
I was like, there's a lot of banana, and then she got to the cherries, and I was like, oh, this is
Yo,
nuts.
the
No,
cherry.
Paige, those cherries were nuts.
I know, exactly.
That was wild.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
wild.
And
I
it's like,
was
what were the
dying.
sausages for?
Oh, well, and he's like, there were no sausages in this
This
one.
time,
And
yeah.
he was just like, you dirty dog.
Yes, that's what I mean. What were they before?
I'm assuming the same thing as the bananas, but
Yes.
could you imagine a lipstick commercial about sausage?
That's what I mean. No thanks.
I mean, no thanks, unless it's a specifically marketed to drag queens makeup.
Yes.
Then I could see that making sense.
I also feel like Nelson might be really good at making a commercial for that specific brand.
Yes.
I feel like Nelson is like, there was a lot of like shock and awe
Yes.
in marketing and just like, what's the most outrageous thing you can do?
Yes.
And like all that. And he seems, as we go through the movie, to just like get off on people being freaked out. Like he
Yes.
loves freaking people out. So it's not even that. I guess I was trying to figure out if he thought this was normal and was like, what? Or if he likes that it is entirely too much.
Yeah.
I think he likes that it's entirely too much, and that's what I love about him. I feel like he's one of those people that would have been like, ghastly. I love it.
Yes.
So like,
Exactly.
like he's there for the drama. I mean, I feel like he's also the kind of person that would invite you to like, he's like, come to this art installation and it's just Mapplethorpe dick photos. And he's just like, isn't it glorious? And you're like,
Yes.
I guess it fucking is, man. Like, sure.
But that guy has been in everything. I mean, he's passed away now, but he was in a Bond movie, Live and Let Die. He was in Annie. He was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, he has done everything. I love him, and I love his voice, man, because he is always a little bit extra, and his voice does have that James Earl Jones just quality. I love it so much.
Well, and he's also like, the next time we see him after this is with Strange.
Yeah.
In that meeting, that first meeting where Strange is giving her suggested names for the perfume, which I loved. And he's just like, I love it. Yes, love it. And I'm like, oh, we would be friends.
Yes. I would love to be friends
great.
with him. Yeah.
So he tells him to cut out the cherries and the banana, which like, aw, boo.
No, I mean, not boo. You got to take the cherries and banana out of that. That's good feedback. Like when you're pointing out where the cherries gooch would be, that should be cut.
When she's holding the cherries, she like pulls her tongue through them as if you were licking like the seam on a bag of nuts.
Which I was about to say, you can't even get through balls that way. Like,
Yeah.
I know, but it made me wish you could.
Katrina, I love the way you just died right there. Like fell back in your chair. Like,
Mikey opened a whole second doc during the beginning of this movie where he just started taking a whole other set of notes.
I was like, I've got to double screen this film. Excuse me.
Types into Pornhub cherry balls
Y'all better be lucky I don't find a monkey's paw, like where you can make wishes.
because it would be corkscrew dick and then this.
you did talk about in the Horror Virgin Leprechaun episode how one of your wishes would be to have a corkscrew dick.
And never explained it.
Why?
It spins like a drill.
I feel like that's low key some kind of codependency thing where you're like, I want to be stuck inside of you forever.
Wow, Katrina, I've never seen someone break down Mikey's specific issues so fast. Yeah.
Missile
well done.
direct
Yeah,
to the issue.
That was
Yes.
amazing.
Think about that, Mikey.
Let's just move on.
No, now we can't.
I think Mikey just learned something about himself. Like, that's how deep that went. It's like you drilled into his issues with your corkscrew dick.
While we're learning, I'll move on. So Anita's on line 1, and this is where he lies to her about what happened to him and why he hasn't called, and says that he's been in an accident, but he hasn't, and says like a massage sounds great, but then books her out weeks in advance. He does like textbook everything Robin Givens does later.
I think that, yeah, they're literally setting up exactly what Robin does to him later on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Before he leaves for lunch, they bring in like a couch full of ladies that are casting for the body lotion spot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get the first like, woof, like in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
And he's basically like, tell the fellas I'll be late for lunch today. We cut to lunch where Martin Lawrence has some upsetting views on trans people that we could probably just skip, to be honest.
I mean, except for the mad foreshadowing of Eddie's real life. But
yeah,
then we
that's
can move
true.
on.
Yeah.
That's true. Wait, was that before or after this?
Before. It's like mad script foreshadowing of his real life and however he may or may not have felt that way later.
I wonder what was on his mind when he wrote this scene.
He definitely did too. But I do like how Martin Lawrence just says, man, you read Penthouse, and I'm like, these things never happen to me. And I'm like, they don't happen to anybody. But Eddie Murphy is like, those things do happen. You just have to pay attention to women.
Yeah.
And what he means is trick women.
Yeah, you have to manipulate women in a bad
You have
way.
to manipulate women.
Yeah.
I feel like he pays attention, but with the wrong intent. So,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you're noticing things, but only things as ammo. So,
Yes.
like, you're not really paying attention for the best reason.
Yeah, he's not viewing women as people. He's viewing women
Right.
as challenges. So while they're eating their food, this is where Martin Lawrence has the theory about asparagus spears versus asparagus tips.
Yes.
So funny.
Gosh.
I have a culinary answer for this.
Oh, do you? Because I've always heard asparagus spears. I've never heard asparagus tips, unless it's just like the front, like
It
the front
is.
part of it.
The
Yeah, yeah,
tips.
yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it's the tips.
Yeah.
Yes. Spears is the entire stalk.
Right.
The tip and the shaft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't like asparagus too much. It's like just the tip for me.
I never go balls deep on asparagus. It's just not a flavor I enjoy.
Yeah.
But, wrap it in prosciutto and maybe we can talk.
Well, wrap anything in prosciutto and I'll talk about it at least.
Because of the layers.
Yeah, my top layer is always a prosciutto layer, Mikey.
You had Todd at Wrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is also where Eddie Murphy claims that he's the most romantic. And again, by romantic,
Yes.
he means manipulative.
Right. He means he knows what to do with the information.
Yes.
Like David Allen Greer could hear it and be like, that's nice. And like maybe make an anecdote about it. Martin would say how it's like attached to the deep state and he would just use it as an in. Like that's.
It's kind of like when I went to counseling grad school and learned how to like active listen. And I was like, oh, I could probably use this.
Yes. Eddie Murphy's a good example of how there are sociopaths that are also just great doctors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you can
Yeah.
use it.
He's like, am I going to use this power for good or for awesome?
Anyway, they leave the restaurant. As they're walking, they see Leela Rashad walking with her dog, dressed to the nines, very beautiful. He borrows a leash from a nearby couple.
He doesn't borrow it. He buys it, Paige.
That is very funny.
I
That
love that
couple,
scene.
the idea
Yeah.
of like just that gave me a little bit of a dad flash of him being like, you better give him that money. A 20's a 20. I'll carry that dog home.
He's
It's
like,
so
20
silly.
bucks is 20 bucks. Like, it is what it is.
The couple is like older, affluent. How bad is this guy hurting for a 20? He's going to carry his dog home. Just doesn't care. But
Doesn't
yes.
care.
I mean, that would be like $40 today, but still, that's not a whole lot.
Leashes are expensive, too.
They are expensive.
That's true.
And that was
Yeah.
a leather leash. I bet it was about 40 bucks.
Paige, do you have in fun facts the inflation on that leash? What do we?
I legit just looked it up.
Oh, you do that, Todd. Sorry.
I don't have a lot of financial fun facts today.
I legit looked it up, and it is $40.08.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay.
Yeah. It's amazing how much Reaganomics has destroyed our economy that in 30 years it's doubled. Like our money
Yeah.
value has doubled.
Oh, man. But he has just the leash and pretends that he lost the dog attached to it, which is pretty brilliant, but also evil.
I love that he's like, because he doesn't want to like walk up to her and introduce himself. He wants him to come to her, which is a great technique. I love using that. But what he does is,
I think you might be a sociopath, Todd.
no, I'll explain myself in a second. He just stands there and goes, Kirby! Kirby! Curbs! I loved it. It was very funny.
Katrina, that's how he got 6 dogs, is that he's used each one in a ploy to meet a woman.
Screaming dogs until one answers, and then he's like, got one.
Got it.
You do this, but with dogs instead of women, Todd.
I want that dog to come to me.
Yeah.
Yes. But I do like that there's a couple other times but this is the first time where I got excited because you see an inkling of what Eddie's like when he does an act out on stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like on SNL or
Yeah.
something. And I really liked it.
I did like it too. But what I mean about, I'm obviously very taken and very happy right now. But if I was single and when I have been single and I would go to like bars or whatever, I would never go and like pick up somebody. But I have gone to like do karaoke and I'm pretty good at karaoke. So like occasionally a girl will come up to me and start talking to me and I'm like, this is great. Let's go back to my place.
I've gone up to people and just acted like it was a mistake so that I could
Nice.
like get closer to them. Like, oh my God, hey, and be
nice.
like, oh, I thought you were somebody else.
Most of my interactions end with someone pretending it's a mistake.
And then they turned out to be a mistake. So you were right all along, Mikey.
I just talk to people.
Oh, excuse me, Paige, with the confidence.
I think I'm much too introverted for that, honestly. Like I'm a little bit too shy maybe to do that.
I think I am, but I think because I used to not talk to people, but then I had so much better of a success rate just talking to people.
Oh, I'm sure.
That I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just going to talk to people.
Yeah, it's like that time where I was like, hey, do you really like Iggy Azalea? And they said,
Suck my
my
dick."
dick. And I was like, all right.
I can talk to someone as long as I'm not attracted.
Yes.
Once I'm attracted, it's a problem. But like, I'll talk to freaking anybody that doesn't make me wet. Who cares? Let's do this. But like,
Yeah.
once I like you, it's like, oh no, like just like sweat and a blank brain. Like I got nothing.
So if Katrina was single and not talking to you, she might be into you.
Yes.
And that's why women are hard to read.
Yeah.
This girl's really talking to me and laughing a lot. I think she's into me.
Yeah.
I'll smile and just know where, just like if I look very excited to see, if I look like an amped mime anytime we're around each other.
Damn, Katrina's not saying much, but she's really trying to get out of that imaginary box. So she must be into it.
I love you. Just climbing a rope.
Katrina's not single.
Yeah, Paige.
We know that her miming
saying.
is a joke right now.
I know.
And I will point out as we go through this movie, because my boyfriend did watch this movie with me, and it was a great male perspective on when boys get boners during movies when they're little. Like, we're just watching this movie and him being like, oh, that gave me a boner. Oh, that gave me a boner. Oh, that gave me a boner. Like, this movie was just like boner city for if you're the right age.
Yeah, I think my version of that would have been Robin Hood Men in Tights, which sounds terrible. But the main...
I definitely saw that as a child,
Yeah,
though.
Maid Marian in that is a redhead. She's like topless at one point
She
in the
takes
movie.
a bath.
Yeah, so like that very
I
much is
get
a
it.
formative movie from my childhood. Yeah. And there were men in tights. So like, what's not to love? Carrie Ellis,
Because when you
come
first said
on.
it, I was like, what part of Men in Tights?
It's the part where they're like behind the sheet and he's singing to her. Never mind.
Oh, I know exactly
that
what you're
fucking
talking about.
movie.
And he gets
It's
his
so
sword
dumb.
from her.
It's so dumb. Yeah.
I love that movie. I'm so sorry.
So he gets her number. They set up a date. And this is the first part where we meet his neighbor because he comes home with a bouquet. And Yvonne, his neighbor, is just like, tell her the truth. You're going to use her and dump her. And it's just like
funny.
going off. This is also where he reveals that there's a court order that she has to like stay on her side of the fence.
Again, I love the back and forth in this one. Because is this when she says, I bet he's going to do it doggy style? Or
Yes.
is that later?
Oh, no, that's later.
That's later. She's like, how big? What's your sizes?
We about the same size, which is a thing. That is such a thing when you see people later. Oh, God, so funny. Sorry, we can talk about it then.
But you know, we learn later on that Eddie Murphy only just lays there like a starfish all through the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And crinkles his little toes.
Curls his toes. I do think this is a perfect example of the, let's call it the sketchification of this movie, where it's really written in these sketch chunks, where her repeated scenes are a perfect example of like sketch heightening, where it's like we've introduced her concept. It's hilariously funny. She's doing a great job. And then each time we meet her, it gets crazier. And so it's this heightening
Yes.
until the very end, where she literally is like, jump off the balcony then. Like that, like if it was an SNL sketch, perfection.
Absolutely.
But it's in a movie.
Right.
And so you're kind of like,
and they just
"Oh."
broke it up.
Yeah, they just broke it up. So he lets Leela Rashad into the apartment. And the first thing she asks is, where's Kirby, the dog? Because he's like, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the groomers. He got stuck under a truck and got a grease stripe on him or whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
He cooks her dinner because he's like learned to cook as a trap.
To sleep with people. Yeah, I believe he learned to cook only
yes.
to hook
Yeah,
up
he's
with
a
people.
Venus fly chef.
But he seems to have a pride in it that...
Thank you, Mikey, for laughing at my joke. I appreciate that.
He seems to have a pride in it that was genuine.
Yeah, no, he does. He is very proud of learning to cook.
Yes.
And like hangs his hat on it, but it is all part of the trap.
Okay, I think he learned it as the trap, but then I think he got really into cooking, like an accidental hobby.
Yeah.
Because he's like, when people don't appreciate his salmon, he gets like super pissed.
Yeah,
Right.
he's more mad about her not appreciating the salmon.
That was pretty funny.
Anyway, so they have kind of a fun date, and then he goes to take her home to her apartment, and she does the like, so knock knock, there's a scared little boy named Marcus,
Oh my
and he's
God.
been hurt. Tell me about him. Which, like, first of all, it's a first date. Secondly, I hate it when people do that.
It was very funny. I honestly wanted her to come back later a little
But
bit.
dating
Same.
David Allen Greer's character? Yeah, same.
Yes.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Because then he would have dated someone that Eddie Murphy had slept with.
Yeah, fair is
Yeah,
fair.
Totally even. Yes.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Eddie Murphy tells her this lie about seriously dating a woman named Deborah and hasn't been out with anybody for 2 years
Yeah.
since.
Yeah.
And that he caught her on their wedding day with the best man and the priest.
Hold on. The term for two women sleeping with the same guy is pogo sisters.
What?
I've never heard that before.
I refuse to use that term.
What is this, the leprechaun?
We do not get
Pogo sisters.
I don't like that at all. That's too aggressive. And you can only stay up for like a little bit on a poke. You get like a couple good jumps and then it's like
Yeah.
you got a raspberry.
Exactly.
This is less fun.
Exactly, Katrina.
Same thing.
Exactly. That's why it's perfect.
I don't like this.
Okay, let's call it a downline. or an upline.
Make it MLM. Yeah.
Let's go real MLM
Oh my
with
goodness.
it. Like, you're in my downline.
Oh yeah, Mikey, you can't sleep with her. She's in my downline.
She's in my downline.
I do like that a lot.
So do I, Paige.
Let's just say I've already been their consultant.
Yes.
I've represented them before.
I have the pink Mary Kay card to prove it.
Exactly.
And then people that you aspire to sleep with are in your upline. You're just like,
I love this.
that person's in my upline. If we're ever single at the same time, there you go.
Yeah.
So he tells her a lie about who he's been dating, which is bad for a couple of reasons. A, it's a lie, but also B, he's been sleeping with multiple partners. We don't know who's safe, who's not medically.
At least everyone that he sent that rose to.
So, like, she doesn't necessarily have a clear understanding of what kind of relationship she's entering into. I think it's not great.
It's terrible. He straight up lied to her. Like she is sleeping with him under false pretenses. Like,
Yeah. And her bed has a lot of stuffed animals.
That's a red flag for
This is
me
a
in
huge
a way
red flag.
yeah.
Here's the thing. If you're already with somebody and you guys have stuffed animals on your bed, this is not about you. This is whatever. And also, if you have like one or two, also not about you. I'm not worried about it. There's a mountain of stuffed animals on this bed to the point where it would be a task to clear them off the bed.
More than women get made fun of for throw pillows. Like
Yes.
more
Yes.
than that excess of pillows she has of stuffed animals.
Yes. But they do end up sleeping together. Even though he's like, I don't want to get hurt again. He hasn't been hurt. It's like,
Right.
it's
That's what I
all
mean.
bullshit.
Again, even that making her the aggressor based on a false pretense of like, I'm so fragile is like kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But like you can be fragile overall.
But not under false pretenses.
He's
He could have
lying
been
to
like,
her.
I hook up with tons of girls and I'm broken. And that woman probably still would have been like, oh, poor baby Marcus, and blew him. Like he didn't have to make up a faux vulnerability.
Yeah. I mean, because he straight up lies to her.
Yes.
You need to be as honest as possible because then you don't have to feel guilty.
Because then is she attracted to the sad story or would she be
Yeah.
like that anyway? We can't tell because he lied.
If
Right.
you're honest, she can make an informed decision, yes or no.
Yes.
So at that point, it's just two adults making decisions if everybody's honest. But if he's actively lying to her and she's making decisions based on lies, that's not cool.
I would suggest if you're in the situation being like, I've had a huge breakup in the past. I don't feel like I'm going to ever feel love again. It's just nice to find happiness where you can.
Mikey talks to women like comics tell jokes where you're like, I was out the other day, but you've been telling that joke for months.
Yep.
It's like, it's loose. It's for right now. I need to get
this
you in
is
the
like
mindset.
this off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Give me a city.
Just don't give him Chicago because he has thoughts on that place.
If I have to hear about Chicago or Australia ever again in my lifetime, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
I do want to say I have never once seduced someone by stepping back and just taking off a jacket.
I've definitely had this happen.
What?
There's a couple of movies in the 90s that do this.
Yes.
I think there's 80s movies where this happens, and it definitely happens in like Varsity Blues as well, I think.
Right. It seemed like something old Hollywood would do, and then we brought it back.
Todd, have you ever had a girl show up at your house with just like a coat and lingerie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying it happens because of movies like this.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it does happen because of movies.
Because I've worn lingerie under regular clothes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then had someone be like, I can't believe you had that on this whole time. Like that kind of reveal is fun.
That's
but
how
like,
I feel when girls get naked at all.
Yeah.
Like if a girl takes off their clothes, I was like, that was under there the whole time. Under those sweatpants.
but like the idea that you're just walking around like Carmen San Diego all night and no one's going to be the wiser and then be like, no way. It's like, what world is this?
Yeah, I've definitely worn lingerie under clothes.
Right. You know what's happening after dinner or whatever, right?
Yeah, but also I think it's just because I don't have an occasion to just wear a trench coat for hours.
Right.
Are you not a
Where are you
detective?
rainy and not cold? Yeah. Like
Yes.
what? Like I'm going to fuck after I'm done gumshoeing.
You're describing my perfect woman.
Yeah, I think we just learned that Mikey really wants to fuck Carmen Sandiego, and he's just like, where in the world is my perfect woman? We just got to find you Carmen Sandiego, Mikey. We got to get you on that game show from the 90s.
Yes.
Mike wants to be somebody's Carmen Sandiego.
Yes. He'll fuck in Nashville to Norway, Bonaire to Zimbabwe to Cabo. Okay. Anyway.
I love it.
So we cut to Eddie Murphy wakes up and he pulls the sheets back to look at her feet. And her feet are not that messed up either,
No.
by the way.
They're like chipped.
Her nail polish is chipped and she's got like...
A few bunions.
Yeah, I mean, places where her feet have been rubbing against her shoes, is what I would say.
Here's the thing though, Paige. Your feet are a thing. Like if you do not even, I don't know if it's also being in Florida, but like joking about people who shouldn't wear sandals. If you're a girl, like I was a dancer, I was friends with girls who walked on wood blocks and their boyfriends made fun of them because your feet are horrible. Like that is definitely a thing that like
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because I don't want to fuck feet, but I don't care if and heels make feet.
Oh, heels fuck up your feet.
Heels fuck up feet.
Right.
Like I don't know. And I think I'm just not sexually attracted to feet. So like, I don't care.
I mean, I will say, because I worked in retail forever, so my feet are fucked up, probably permanently, to be honest. Like I have just fucked up feet. And it's one of those things that like dudes would say constantly. And I'd be like, fuck, I guess I better never come over to your house or ever take off my shoes around you.
Yes, my parents make fun of my feet.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's nothing I can do. I was working to survive, and that's why my feet are fucked up. Also, have you seen dudes' feet? Dudes' feet are fucking disgusting.
Yes.
Todd's feet are like from Elder Scrolls. Like, it's
How did
ridiculous.
this become about my feet? I was defending you. Also accurate though.
I mean, Todd, your feet look like they picked the wrong grail.
That's it. I'm going to post a picture of my feet because they're not that bad. They're just a little hairy.
I do want to see how bad Todd's feet are because of how much you talk about them.
It's like they picked the wrong grail.
Oh my God, let me see. First off, why are they so dirty? Is that just hair?
That's hair, yeah.
That's hair. That's hair.
Your feet are so hairy, but no, they're fine other than that.
Oh, it's full Hobbit feet.
That is like an unknown creature's feet.
That is like someone brought a set of brothers on Maury once for having this, where like they're hairy.
Okay, Katrina, now look at this. Look at this.
Todd's face. Oh, I mean, Mikey has pretty feet, but dudes that are problematic have pretty feet sometimes.
Thank you.
Because Mikey's out here crushing hearts. He's got pretty feet.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I wouldn't be able to if I had Todd's feet.
You could crush hearts just with the feet. You'd have to snatch them out of somebody's chest first. Yeah.
You could crush all kinds of stuff.
Katrina, one time Todd came over for like a cookout in my backyard, and I did a plaster mold of like the mud print because I thought something had like snuck in. A cryptoid had like come through my backyard.
When I showed my feet on the webcam, I did not think that would turn into a 3-minute roast session of my feet. I thought you guys were going to be like, oh, they're not that bad. And then that fucking backfired so bad.
You mean when Katrina's first words were like, holy shit, they're so dirty. Wait, is that hair?
That was a thing. I was visually tricked.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
He was so confident he had normal looking feet, wasn't he?
But also, Todd, how are you cold all the time if you've got that much body hair? Because I'm cold all the time, but you're not fuzzy like that all over?
He says he doesn't have a lot of hair.
I mean, I have chest hair, but honestly, I don't even have a lot of chest hair, but my back has no hair on it.
Pull your pants legs up.
You might get back hair when you're older.
And my arms are hairy.
No, that's kind of hairy, but normal. Your feet look like an arm, and that is a thing. That is a thing that just like hair doesn't grow there for everyone. Like you should be like better at swimming or something.
No, it slows me down. That's why swimmers shave their body hair off. Anyway, I did 23andMe, and 23andMe will give you like some weird facts about like your genes and stuff.
Ooh, I want to do that one for that reason, for like the extra info.
And because I have a higher percentage of Neanderthal in me than most people do, that's what causes you to be hairy on your feet. But also it causes your back not to be that hairy. It's a very interesting, like weird mix.
But also that makes sense. Your feet are like literally prehistoric.
Yes.
So So what's next, Paige? Where are we at in the movie?
Question.
I just like this. This all started when Todd was like, "I'm gonna prove to them that my feet aren't ugly."
Yeah, that backfired more than Backdraft did.
We cut to he's talking to his friends about it. McCready.
McCready was like, I mean, he's got hairier feet than me.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Are those paws? McCready comes in on the screen. What the fuck is going on that camera?
so he's talking to his friends and he's like, well, her feet were jacked up and they were like, you're too picky. And he's like, no, I'm looking for perfection, which he's not perfect.
He's a dick.
Yeah, he is
He's a dick.
But everything that he says in this thing, like hammer time, all that, literally like made a hyper aware generation of people about their feet.
About their
sexually.
feet.
You can trace Wiki Feet back to Boomerang. Follow the trail, people.
Probably.
I can't wait till I have my own Wiki Feet page.
And they're like, no, this is more of an icky feet page.
Icky feet.
Wow.
Do you have hardwood floors or do you have carpet?
I have hardwood floors.
Todd and his dog sound the same way, getting ready for dinner, just like clack, 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 clack. Sorry, Paige.
Oh, no, that's all
Why are
right.
you apologizing to Paige? You're roasting me.
Because she's trying to keep going, and I keep talking about your feet.
It's only because we're an hour and 40 minutes into the recording and we're 3 scenes into this movie.
This 2-hour movie.
So he comes to the office the next day to discuss the merger with Lady Eloise, who's the company that they are merging with.
My favorite Catwoman.
Favorite Catwoman is Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, there are 2 cat women in this movie.
There are 2 Catwomen in this film. She basically says, my team will arrive tomorrow, but you're a prime asset. We need a strong department head. I hear you're beguiling to women, but my schedule's tight, so meet me at my house tonight. And so he just shows the fuck up at her house. And I was obsessed with her dress. It was this like pink off the shoulder sequin moment. And her house was called Lavender Hill.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And lavender's good for stress.
It is.
She is not. Is she in this scene? Well, she's good for her assistant because he's just snickering in the background the whole
He's
time.
there
which
for the drama.
Yeah.
he made me laugh so hard.
And he just goes through secret doorways.
Yes, just like Homer Simpson bushing while he laughs away
Yes.
from things.
Yeah, when he goes through the bookcase door, it was like one of my favorite moments. Yeah.
We move on to this giant dinner that if you look at the plates that they're eating, they've got like an entree and then they each have like a fruit and cheese plate next to them.
Yeah.
And then other multiple fruit and cheese plates. And then somebody brings out a giant salad while Eartha Kitt is basically filleting an asparagus spear.
Yeah.
Just like running her tongue around it. She's all about it.
Which I was like, wait, was asparagus just like the sexy vegetable of the 90s?
They
Why
actually
is there
sponsored the film.
Yeah.
Big
Yes.
asparagus.
Big asparagus got in on this early on. Yeah.
Big asparagus got in. It shouldn't be though, because it will make your nether regions smell and taste different.
That's what I kept thinking
Yeah.
about. I was like, why is there so much asparagus in this sexual movie?
Yeah, it's wild. Anyway, they basically retire to her bedroom and she's like, get comfortable. And she's in what I can only describe as like a 1960s Playboy bunny corset
Yes. Yeah.
outfit.
Yeah.
It has awoken something in me.
She looks amazing. She makes him take off her shoes. And he's like, do you want to dim it and make it more romantic? And she has a clapper. And then she just...
I love that he goes, can we make it darker after the lights go out?
so
I was
funny, and it's-
that's
Fuck
mean.
you.
That's so mean.
Fuck you. It's Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
It's Eartha Kitt, but he does not want to have sex with
No,
her.
he does not.
I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he doesn't like women because it's fucking Eartha Kitt and she's a legend.
He is so picky that I feel like his character would not necessarily go after an older woman.
He got to look at her feet and her toenails retract like cat claws.
Like a cat, and he was out.
She had one toe halfway up her leg.
oh, yeah, kind of.
That's why he didn't want to sleep with her. It hurts when she makes biscuits.
Oh, Todd, is that hitting close to home there?
I'm triggered
Yes.
right now.
How many sheets have you ruined by just like cutting them?
I trim my toenails, Mikey. I don't have talons. I just have hobbit feet.
Your feet look like you've taken the rings, the bracelets, the earrings, and the necklace to Mordor.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next day, he runs into Robin Givens in the lobby and he tries to hit on her and she immediately is like, you're pathetic. No, thank you. And at this point, I looked at how long the movie had been going, and it had only been going for 20 minutes, but it had felt like an hour.
This movie does feel super long, yeah. And then they get in the elevator together, and like they're like, oh wait, I'm going to the 18th floor. I work there.
Right.
Oh, and she's like, oh wait, you're Marcus. I'm supposed to meet with you or whatever. Like we both work in marketing. I work at Lady Eloise or whatever the other company name is.
And he works at Chanterelle.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm a fan of your work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, cool, because I'm about to be in fucking charge. Yeah. And she's like, actually, no, because Lady Eloise doesn't make any decisions. She has no power, and she throws herself at young men. And he's like, are you trying to imply that we hooked up? And right as he says that, Eartha Kitt rolls up and just goes, Marcus, I don't have any panties on. And just walks away.
I love that he turns to Robin and he's like, I can't control if she has panties on. Maybe she was just hot or whatever he says. Like,
he goes, it's
so
warm.
funny.
People be taking their panties off. It's fine.
This movie has like 5 hookups, maybe more. I know what this company does not have. It's
an HR policy?
Yeah.
At all.
But they're like straight up in meetings, like cuddled up when they're together. You know, I'm like, oh, that seems.
I've been in marketing departments where people like physically make people uncomfortable in meetings because they're just like eye fucking each other or like sitting in each other's laps or like whatever.
I'm in the wrong field.
Mikey, you are, because I work in marketing and some wild shit goes down. Yeah.
I did used to work in an agency where like a cool blonde Eartha Kitt like lady came in one day and was like, you guys are so cute. You don't drink till 4.
Why can't mental health be a cool profession? Where I can just take out a bourbon in a meeting and be like, maybe we're just not doing it right, you know?
I mean, because we need you to help us navigate the fact that we're taking out bourbons in meetings.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense. That actually checks out.
When he said executress, I wanted to fight someone.
Executress. And I couldn't tell if he said executress or executrix, where it was like dominatrix or just lady.
No. Okay, I think he said
it's well, I don't know.
I thought it was a cereal mascot for high-powered executive women.
Ooh, executrix.
Executrix. Yeah.
I've been craving Lucky Charms since we did Leprechaun.
Me too.
And I keep being like, I gotta go out and get some fucking Lucky Charms, and I haven't been able to do it. And I think that's what I'm gonna do later.
The next time I go to Kroger, I'm going to stand in the cereal aisle and say, fuck you, Lucky Charms, and then shoot a slingshot at Lucky
Just
Charms.
Take a box and leave one of your shoes. So we cut to a giant party where they're like announcing the merger, and Marcus's friends are there, even though they don't work for the company, which I thought was real funny. That he's just like, they're here too. I invited them.
I didn't necessarily think it was like a company-only party. I thought they were announcing it, and they were holding an event because they were announcing this change, right?
Probably.
Like an industry event, yeah.
Yeah, but they're like, you should quit. And he's like, I'm not going to quit. Like, but I am going to go hit on her, which I don't know how he translated those in his mind.
This is another time where what you're saying, Paige, about her looking like more the villain.
Yeah.
I thought that they were making them parallel in terms of how they treat people in like sexual conquest, but I thought that they were kind of trying to make her a little bit above him.
I mean, she is his boss.
Well, she becomes his boss, but even when like it's like merging head to head, I feel like she's not necessarily like she was the same thing as him at this company, but Eloise, she was a little bit higher than like the authority that he had.
Yeah, but they were both VPs of marketing, and then when her company acquired his, because of the pecking order, like the only reason he stayed is because he was so talented. He's like the Don Draper of this company, right?
Yeah. This is Eddie Murphy as Don Draper is this whole movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
She took the higher position because she was from the company that acquired his.
Right. This is also where he meets Halle Berry's character, Angela, and they announce the new face of Lady Eloise, Strange.
Which is just strange. Like literally, it's just
it's
strange.
spelled strange, but pronounced Strange.
But with an accent.
Yes, over the E.
Did anyone wonder how they stayed upright in this helicopter ride?
Yes, okay, because like, so the helicopter drops a crate at like the end of the party.
Yeah, they come in like they're delivering a raptor to Jurassic Park.
Yes,
It reminded me of the greatest Call of Duty kill streak that's never been implemented in a video game.
So the crate opens.
I love that Paige just like glossed over that shit. She was
I
like,
was like, I have nothing. I've never seen. I don't
Think
know.
about this. You're on a map. It's 8 versus 8. You're on a 7 kill streak. You're like, okay, I got to call in the air support. A crate drops. Strange comes out with men pulling her across the battlefield, and it kills.
I'd put my money on Grace Jones to kill a bunch of
Hell
people.
yeah.
Absolutely. She was a Bond girl.
Yes.
Yeah. So the crate drops, the crate opens. She is pulled out in like a devil horn chariot pulled by 4 white gimp horses. By the way, these are some of the only white people we see in the movie. And that made me laugh. I was just like, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there are other white people at this party, but this is like the first time you ever see like white featured extras, right? And they're pulling her chariot.
I was about to say, you see people like in the background at lunches and things, but
this is, as far as featured extras, it's just gimps with ball gags pulling her devil chariot. And I say devil chariot because it's like black metal with multiple horns of different sizes.
No,
like
it's a throne from Game of Thrones.
It looks like it came out of hell. It was like it just like charioted up from the River Styx, and Strange was
it's like Roman sex goth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sex goth, yeah.
But it's also, she is my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if they had a black woman in Metalocalypse, it would be Strange.
Yes. That's exactly.
Yes.
Oh my God. So the party continues, and Angela talks to Eddie Murphy about like, hey, I know you think Jacqueline's hot. Like, I get it. She's gorgeous. And they have this conversation about like being able to recognize when members of the other gender or sex are attractive, even if that's not what you're typically oriented toward.
Oh yeah, I did like that conversation a little bit.
Well, my favorite is because she goes, you've never seen a guy on TV and been like, look at his shoulders.
Yes.
And I'm like, damn,
I liked all of that. That's what I mean. I like that they had this conversation.
Yeah. And I like that he picked Billy D. Williams. Good choice.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I was and like still is, but yes, the epitome of cool. I feel like it was like somebody they picked that even homophobic black men watching this, the audience, would have been like, this conversation's starting to make me feel weird. And they'd be like, oh, well, Billy D. Williams, what am I, dead inside? Like, it's Billy D. Williams.
But I mean, I've had this conversation 1,000 times, and I can be like, oh yeah, that dude's super handsome. Like anybody can see that.
But Todd, you'd fuck a lot of people. I mean, hypothetically, I feel like you're like, oh yeah, I'm into that.
Who's your like number one of like a person who you're like, hey, I'm whatever I identify as, but that person can get it.
I am, as a straight white man, I can see like Ryan Reynolds is an attractive guy. Like, he's funny, he's in shape. Like, I dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt from Troy.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I'm a straight lady. That was not a surprise reaction for me, but
Chloe Sevigny is like the reason I knew I was like mildly bisexual. This was a long time ago. This was like when top models were still getting praised for having eyes far apart. Like, now I think we're more into like, yeah.
This is back when Chloe Sevigny was on Big Love then, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I would have fucked everybody on Big Love.
Bill Paxton, 100%.
Yes. I like that Big Love is Michael's like, I'm down with this whole cast. Just realized it.
I would have joined this family.
I had to talk Mikey out of converting to Mormonism when that show was on.
I was like, you can't drink though. No, I like going to parties where people are like super pretentious and weird, and you're like, you seen the new Spider-Man movie? Anybody see that? And they're like,
that's okay. That is the level. And I do feel like even in this party, they do a thing with all of these marketing people where they are clearly all successful and well off and all this stuff, but everyone's still very like down to earth.
Yeah.
He follows Jacqueline up the stairs, and she's like, hey, are you excited to be working with Strange? Like, she starts it out as a very professional work conversation.
Yeah.
And he immediately is like, no, I'm here to talk about us. And I'm like, there is no us. And I'm so annoyed with him in this scene that I started looking behind him, because there's a very delicious looking gourmet food and preserve store with cheese and charcuterie. And I was just like, where is that? I want to go to there. But she basically is like, I don't think we should date because we're work colleagues. I don't date people I work with. But she does like blow an eyelash off his face. And she's like, if I try to seduce you, if I decide to, you'll know it.
Yeah.
And so we cut to the next day at work. And this is where Chris Rock is like, how long do you bone the new executress?
That's what it is.
Because they have like a bet going in the mailroom, I think, right?
Yeah. And he's like, so like a week?
Well, because Eddie Murphy is like, we are work colleagues. He's like trying to play it off like he doesn't want to because she clearly doesn't want to, right?
Right. We cut to a board meeting where Strange is testing out new fragrances.
Yes.
And she's like, I hate it. And they were like, well, it tested very well. And she's like, I want the essence of sex. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So she takes her thong off and puts it on the lab guy's face, which is sexual harassment.
Not even puts it on, drags
it across his
underneath
face.
Which I understand it's a movie, but this is one of those times in a movie where I was like, why would you just sit here and let this happen to you? But also, I think that's Desmond Tutu. Who is that scientist?
I mean, I don't think it is Desmond Tutu, but he does look like
Pretty
him.
sure it's not.
He looks like him.
Desmond Tutu in an unaccredited role as man who gets panties shoved in face.
My mom has a picture with him on her desk, and I was like, he looks like that guy in that picture with my mom.
Isn't Desmond Tutu like a Catholic bishop?
He's like a dignitary. He's like a dignitary of some type or something. I don't know.
His name is Leonard Jackson.
I mean,
the actor.
he does
Okay.
look like him.
See, thank you. They do look alike, though. That makes me feel better, just because he really does look a little bit like Desmond Tutu. But I replayed this scene multiple times because Strange has on pants. They're tight. They're like opaque tights that you cannot see through, and then a fishnet over them. So she at least has on 2 pairs of tights that she then had thongs on
Over.
like a workout outfit, and then took them off. And that was the only reason I was like a little bit okay that they made very direct contact with that man's nasal passages.
I don't even think I would like this in a relationship where they just like smell like this.
You need to get out more, but
Paige! Yes! Put the face in it. That's the lyric after she gets her teeth fixed.
yeah, I got a bag and fix my teeth. Yeah.
We'll have a rap song for Paige by the end of this. We'll have 16 bars. I'm so
I
excited.
just need trench coat and lingerie. I don't need that, then have that lingerie shoved into my face. I mean,
I respect that.
I honestly have almost no sense of smell, so I'd be like, I don't smell anything, but can we have sex? Like, what are we doing? Like,
Todd's just down for the action, which I don't know if it's better or worse.
I mean, now I'm understanding why you guys, like, there was that scene in, I think it's the first 50 Shades where he makes her take off her underwear in the restaurant and hand it to him that I feel like both of you thought was stupid, and now it's making a lot of sense why you
no,
think it's stupid.
I've done that, Paige.
You took your underwear off
No.
and handed it to him?
No, but I have left a restaurant with a girl's underwear in my blazer pocket. We were at a work event.
I think it's also very unique to the person you're like, the reason people
Yes,
get off it is
the
because it smells
pheromones
like
of
you, like specifically
Yes,
you.
agreed.
And so mass marketing that I think would probably be a little difficult, although many perfumes have pheromones in them, like specifically. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's what Strange was getting at. And Lloyd stomps out and is like, Liz Taylor would never. And I was like, I'm sorry, if Liz Taylor's White Diamonds fragrance smells like her vagina, deceased.
But also, like, having listened to a lot of podcasts about her life, I wouldn't
put
be
it past her.
surprised. Like, if she told me, I'd be like, I sort of believe you.
It's like, of course it did, you kinky bitch. Yes. So they continue the meeting, and Strange gives off the names that she's been considering for her fragrance, and they
Oh my
are, because I
God.
wrote all them down.
Of course you
One,
did.
wet spot. Like, right out there.
I do love it. She was like, no, I crossed that one out. Sorry.
I crossed that one out.
Which shows that she can self-edit, which is important.
But doesn't do it enough.
No. Love Puss Pig Puke, which I thought was a real, but it's a Strange choice, I guess.
Yeah.
Afterbirth and Steel Vagina. And those are her options. And I love it.
I didn't hate Steel Vagina.
I didn't hate it. I also Love Puss was pretty fun too. When they're like, Strange, everyone loves Strange. And I was just like, but have we considered Love Puss though? Like, let's re-examine Wet Spot. And
Could
see-
we have like a top 3 on the table and one of them be Love Puss?
Let's do some A/B testing and see how Love Puss tests
testing on Love
versus
Puss.
Strange.
We're going to do a short email blast.
Yes. So Nelson is at the table, and every time she reads off a name, he's just like, yes.
He has the
Like-
best facial expressions in this scene. This scene and when they're showing his commercial later on, fuck, he's so funny. Like, he has very few lines the rest of this movie, but he's overacting over everybody in this movie.
Very true.
Head
Love
and
it.
shoulders.
Yeah.
He's chomping on that scenery.
Love it.
It's amazing. So they finish the meeting and Jacqueline's like, we can't control her. And Eddie Murphy's like, why would you? She's buck wild. Just let her get us press, basically. Like,
Yeah.
let her be
Yes.
her weird self and it'll sell our shit, which is true.
Yes.
But this is where she brings up the meeting in New Orleans and he offers to basically have them do some of the catch-up work over dinner. And so she comes to his house for dinner. He tries to play it off like it's casual, but he has fully done the whole like flowers, dinner, turned on the aquarium and the fireplace with a remote as big as an iPad.
Not to like foreshadow where this night goes, but like he's putting on the full court press right here.
He is.
The 80s tech also just overall in this movie, I did enjoy when it popped up. Just when someone would use something and I'd be like, wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Katrina, when they're showing the commercial, like later in the boardroom scene, and like that thing slides to the side and it shows that small ass square
when that
tube
was
TV.
like the shit though, that could even happen.
I know,
That
I
was
know.
like, oh my God. Yes.
But that was smaller than like one of my computer monitors upstairs now. Like that, it's
Yes,
so
that is
wild.
like
Yeah.
the screen I'm watching y'all on
Yeah.
now, probably.
Right. Yeah.
They were like, holy shit, 27-inch TV?
Some G shit. Y'all ain't ready.
So he invites her in. He gets a bottle of champagne out of the fridge. And as he's doing it, she ends up talking to Yvonne, the neighbor. And she's loving it. Like she is
Yes.
having a blast. And this is where Yvonne's like, what, do you like my size?
And this was when I started to like Robin too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When I didn't know which way they were going to go with her. And I was like, oh, is she going to be like down to earth and cool?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
what's going on?
That's what I thought they were going to be like, let's have a casual relationship. I do the same thing as you do. Your neighbor just proved it to me. Let's just fuck for a while.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
they catch feelings. That's what I totally thought the movie was going to
Yeah.
be about.
Right. Yeah. And this is where we get the you're the same size, it'll be doggy style, which I thought was hilarious that she has watched through the windows enough to be like, he's got to play.
Oh, I thought she knew that because
No.
that's what he did with her.
Yes.
I'm sure he did, but
Yeah.
she's also his neighbor and has clearly tried to warn multiple women. I think she watches every time, which
You're probably
I
right.
thought she was saying that specifically because she is scorned and comparing Robin to
Yeah.
her.
I think it's both.
Yeah,
Like, I
there's
think
no
she
reason
is-
it can't be both, Paige.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, yeah.
I think
I
it's
just didn't
both.
think about that, but I think you're right.
Well, and you're right in terms of this is probably around the time in the movie where I was like, does this woman have roommates that she hates? Why is she constantly in the backyard? Does she hear him come home and like come outside? Like, why is she always there?
I think so, and I don't blame her because if I had a neighbor that was just a constant fuckfest and left their windows open, I'd watch that shit all the time. I'd just be like,
It's good you don't live next to Mikey then.
I mean, I'm here for the good, the bad, and the weird. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see somebody have awkward hookups and just be like, and just like eat popcorn.
just Mikey getting thongs rubbed in his face.
And it's just Paige and me next door like, oh, he hates that.
Do you want to order wings? Like,
Oh, he hates.
This is why if you are initiating a casual relationship, you don't bring them back to your place.
well, they got to go somewhere.
Yeah, their place.
Okay, but then they're having to bring someone back to their place. Like, one of you has to bring someone back to your place.
Yep.
No, but I see what you're saying, Mikey, because that's what I was thinking with the first lady. That's why I thought he was trying to like move it to her.
I was
To-
like,
to
why
avoid the
cook
neighbor?
dinner at her house? Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
Anyway, meanwhile, we kind of intercut between his evening with Jacqueline and David Allen Greer's evening with Halle Berry, where they have kind of an awkward interaction where they clearly don't really hit it off, but they're very sweet to each other. And in a way, we meet her through this kind of, where we kind of see that she's into art. We learn about her house and like some of the stuff she does. She has an amazing cactus clock that I want. Where it's just like a giant fake cactus that has a clock
She
in
has
it.
cool stuff.
Yeah, she got
She has
cool
cool
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought this was going to be the romantic comedy B plot, which was their
I
development.
thought so too, and I was here for it. I was here for them to have like a slow burn into something, but that's not where it goes. Meanwhile, back at Eddie Murphy's place, Jacqueline is very specifically keeping it platonic and not romantic, and doing everything in her power to do so. Where it's like, oh, you cooked a nice dinner, let's eat it in front of the TV and watch the game. Like, she's making sure that this does not become sexual. It like she rebuffs all his romance.
Do you think she's doing it on purpose or
Yes.
just not thinking about it?
No, I think she's doing it on purpose.
Oh, see, I thought she just was that
Into the sports.
uninterested. Yeah, that into the game and not interested in him where he was like, oh yeah, I came over for dinner. Oh yeah, the game's on. I thought that this was supposed to be showing how like self-centered she is as a person, not like in a bad way, but I thought that they wrote her even things that Eddie does later with her. I think that they were comically trying to make her straight up a man.
Yes.
Where you would go into a date and still think it's a date and not think it's a problem that you want to watch TV or watch TV while you eat and stuff like that. I thought that they were guying her. I thought that was why Eddie Murphy just lays there later. I thought that they were full on as scriptwriters making her what they think guys are and him what they think girls are, where they like he lays there and they talk about his ass and she's like, I want to watch the game. What's your problem? I thought that a lot of the things that she looks like a villain, she was ignorant to. Like literally, I told you we're just fucking, what are you freaking out about? I
Yeah.
thought they were making her like void of the sensitivity.
Here's where I think they changed that. Is at the end when once he's with Angela, she specifically manipulates him to try and get back with him, where she creates a scenario. At that point, I'm like, no, she knew the whole time. She's been manipulating him the whole time.
Oh, so that makes you think that now she knows what she's doing also. Got it. That's fair.
Given her conversation before where she's like, when I hit on you, you'll know it. I think that's her being
She's
like...
not oblivious.
She's not oblivious. She's in control of the situation. And this is her controlling that situation.
Okay.
I feel like this is sort of the flip of that date before with the woman that he sort of tricked with the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where he was in complete control of that and was just completely manipulating her.
And he's trying to do that in his place. And even in his place, she's like, oh, we're going to do this here. And go get me a beer. And because is this back and forth with Halle Berry where she has that gnarly ass Korean joke?
Yes.
Yep.
Because it's literally right here where they go to kiss goodnight at the end of the night and they're saying goodnight in a couple different languages. And then she says something in Korean and then says that it translates to, I'm sorry I shot you, but I thought you were robbing my store.
Yeah.
Which is racist on many levels.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
it's a real reference to a murder that happened in
Yes.
South Central.
Yeah.
I mean, racist, like, it's racist because I already, when she does the Korean, I was like, oh God.
Yes.
And then she does the joke and I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
So we cut to the next day where he and Jacqueline don't sleep together. Halle Berry and David Allen Greer don't sleep together. It's a bunch of platonic dates. And we cut to the next day at lunch where they're both talking about their respective dates. And this is where we find out that David Allen Greer is divorced and his wife left him for a guardian angel because, quote, they do karate shit, which is amazing.
That made me laugh so
I
hard.
was dying.
Just because they
It was
eventually
so
got
good.
disbanded for like fucking people up too much,
Yeah, with
right?
their karate shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they
So
were too
funny.
good at their karate shit.
Yeah, for like beating the shit out of people on the trains and shit.
Yeah.
So this is also where we find out that he has a low sperm count. This is them in the gym for a scene that goes on for like 5.5 minutes that could have been 30 seconds. Yeah.
So much rowing. And yes, I agree. Like I was listening to them talking, I was like, why are they doing this for so long?
Yeah. Well, and it's all for Eddie Murphy to say, you're the no pussy getting this talkingest cat I know.
Yep.
Which is a great line, but it didn't need the 4 minutes of backstory before.
Yeah, we learn a lot about David Allen Greer's character. Like, he's got low sperm count. His wife left him for a guardian angel.
He has to wear breathable underwear. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I liked that was showing that level of vulnerability in their male friendship, that
Yes.
black men would talk about their airy boxers and stuff like that and like make fun of each other, but in a way that you're not legit ashamed of it. I was like, oh, okay, they're talking about this, but I did feel like it went on for too long.
Yeah.
I didn't want to watch them row anymore.
They weren't doing it right.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, Natalie, my girlfriend's a personal trainer, and she was like, oh, I bet they were all sore in weird places because they're doing this all wrong.
From just shooting that.
Yeah. Well, because all three of them are doing it in a different way.
Yeah, she's like, you
which
got to
is
keep your
really
shoulders
funny.
down. Like, that's going to hurt. Like, you're doing it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 3 different kinds of incorrect form.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So we cut to the flight to New Orleans where he's sitting with Angela, Halle Berry, and she's kind of grilling him about Jacqueline. And this is where I started to get the sense that they were going to go the Halle Berry route, because I think she's trying to suss out if it's going to last or if she has a chance.
Yes.
So we cut to a club in New Orleans where he's dancing with Jacqueline. And this, again, is a scene that goes on really long, but only needed to be 30 seconds.
Okay,
Right.
Paige, this is when I noticed this movie was long. Because I was like, we're changing locations? They're going to go to a whole thing in another, what?
And
Yes.
it's already, this is an hour into this movie. And so it's only halfway through, and it just feels forever long.
Yeah, sort of like this
We're 2
podcast
hours and
episode.
23 minutes into
Yeah.
the recording.
Are we also having a problem with pacing?
Yeah.
I'll
Yep.
fix it in post.
We're just going to just cut an hour off.
Bro, I cut an hour out of every episode we record, at least
Yeah.
an hour.
That makes me feel
Yeah.
better.
Easy.
It is wild that they take a 10-minute trip to New Orleans in this movie when this could have just happened like on a date one night or like they went out or
Yeah.
whatever. Like the runtime of this movie is unnecessarily long.
Halle Berry's still like not a main character. You're like,
No.
She's not a main
that's like a
character
will
yet.
they, won't
She's still like
they.
trickling in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point she's dating his best friend.
You know what they easily could have cut is Eddie's vinegar strokes.
Yes.
Because I never needed to see that. Why do I watch Eddie full on cum multiple times?
I was
Oh
into
my
it.
God.
No
honestly.
thanks.
I mean, I don't think you should cut that.
Oh,
Yeah.
also at one point someone describes, I think it's Halle Berry on the plane.
New Orleans is one of the most romantic cities on earth. It's definitely not known for blackout drunking until 4 a.m.
I first off love that you called it drunking and not drinking. That is accurate and awesome. But I do think that she describes it as like a romantic city. I've never heard of it being a
Like
romantic
it's
city. It
Paris
is
or
very
something.
jazz oriented. So she does talk about some things that are
Yes.
New Orleans related, but some things that aren't. I was like, they're not going to Paris.
I feel like Todd's the only person that could maybe think New Orleans is romantic because he can't smell it.
yeah,
Yeah.
No,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
There's beautiful
Absolutely.
things.
I've been to New Orleans. I could smell it. Like it's that bad. Yeah.
I did love the way New Orleans looked when they're dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're playing jazz music. Like I actually bought that they could have been
I
listening to
liked that a
jazz in that
lot.
club. Yeah.
I liked everything that leads up to him laying it down. I liked.
Yeah.
Or I guess Robin laying it down.
Yeah, Robin laying
She
it down.
rejects him on the dance. He's trying to dance close. She keeps pushing him back.
Yes. And she
Yeah.
gets mad.
She
Yeah.
gets mad. Let's go home. I've changed my mind. Come into my room.
They do end up having sex back at the hotel, and it's presented as like this amazing experience, but it is a lot of him laying there, and we see way too much of his vinegar strokes. And we see his vinegar strokes every time they have sex.
Yes. Exactly what I'm saying. Like the first time I was already like, could have hit the editing room floor. They could have showed the toes for a shorter amount of time too.
Yeah, because he does check her toes and is like, her feet are perfect.
No. His crunch up. His crunch up of his
Oh, yeah, his
feet.
crunchy toes in the next one, yeah.
I do love that this movie is clearly from that male perspective because we see him come like conservatively 15 times and we never see a woman enjoy sex with him, but they're
Nope.
always talking about how great in bed he is.
Yep.
That to me is hilarious.
But he's only great because of his butt?
Do you not know how sex works, Katrina?
What?
What kind of stuff are they doing sexually? Like, hang on. Like,
I don't know. But no, I agree, because it was the same thing where I'm like, I guess if you're a butt person, it's nice to see somebody undress and see some sweet buns. But like, I mean,
But they're not having sex and Robin's like
yeah.
peeking behind looking at his sweet tush.
And we do. You're absolutely right. We see them have sex multiple times. We never see her come. We never see Halle Berry come.
Yeah,
none of
none of
it.
that.
And then we see his fucking vinegar strokes like 14 times.
Yeah.
It's funny that it's called Boomerang because the one thing that does not come back around is an orgasm.
That's right. So he does check her toes. They're perfect, which again is just him being superficial of like, this is what
Yes.
makes her perfect, even though she's displayed that she's kind of manipulative and selfish. Like,
Even though he just said, I have to call my mother? Is that when
Oh,
he does
he
that?
does, because he comes and he's like, I gotta call my mom. And I'm like, if I have children, I hope they never call me for this. Like,
What is that supposed to refer to?
Yeah,
I don't even
that
know.
was upsetting. I don't even know why you would need to. Why would you be thinking about your mom in that moment? Like, I didn't like it at all.
No, I think a better joke would be like, I need to journal about this.
Dear diary, my vinegar strokes were extra expressive tonight. It's a shame women can't come. Talk tomorrow.
Talk tomorrow. Bye.
Tomorrow he just puts it under his pillow.
Yeah. Oh, he locks it with his little like key and then puts that back around his neck that he wears. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
hide it under my bed so my mom can't see it and hear about my vinegar strokes. We cut to them shopping the next day. This is where the store associate's super racist about a jacket that no one should wear.
Yeah, I was like, $1,300. Get away from that jacket.
It looks like a magic eye painting or a bad screensaver. Like it's the weird spiral
but in the 90s,
houndstooth. Yeah,
somebody probably would have bought that jacket.
Jamiroquai wore that jacket.
And if somebody said it was an ugly jacket, they would have said, "Do you have any idea how much this costs?
Do you have any idea how much this costs? Do you have any idea how much I paid for these Z Cavalry jeans?"
This jacket is literal virtual insanity. I have to own it.
So they do talk about how white people have, quote, a natural fear of black people, which is a terrible thing, but also I do like that they bark at that sales associate.
Oh, I thought that bark was the best part of it.
Implicit racial bias. It's like another word for it.
Yeah, and he is super racist to them. Like he deserves every bit of this and more.
This guy is like
I wish they could have barked at him more.
The most.
Yeah, it was bad. So we cut to them planning out the art campaign with Stranger, and they're going to go to the Caribbean to shoot it. And Angela and Jacqueline are talking about it. And this is where we kind of find out that like he has a reputation. She tells Angela that they've slept together and that he's got a great ass or whatever.
Yeah.
He comes in, they excuse Angela, and he basically is like, awesome, like, let's fuck on your desk. And she's just like, no, we're not going to do this in the office. And I'm like, okay, that's fair.
That's a fair boundary. I mean, even if you're dating someone, like, seriously at the office, you don't want to fuck at the office. Like,
no.
I mean, you do, but after everyone's gone. And so like...
Oh, wait, Paige, have you done that?
I have not. I don't have an office. We have one of those open space offices where it's just like desk pools. So like it would not work.
I have done that. Mikey, you too? Mm-hmm. Mikey is winking. Oh, he verbally confirmed it. Good.
That carpet's too hard.
Why would you do that when you have desks?
Because I've got stuff on my desk that I need to keep track of.
Desks don't seem load bearing enough.
Oh, they can handle my load.
Oh, they are load bearing.
Mikey, I love you so much right now. That was amazing. Thank you.
But anyway, so he's like, let's hook up. And she's like, oh, I'm not looking for something serious. Like, are you going to be weird? And it's basically his own game turned back on him. And he's like, well, I'm not going to wait by the phone, but he does. And she books time with him 3 weeks out from now.
Yes. I love the montage of him waiting by the phone. I thought it was so funny. Yeah.
Yes. This was when I realized how charming Eddie Murphy is because I shouldn't have felt as bad for him as I did.
Yeah.
Two wrongs don't make a right. So you can still feel bad for people he hurt and him, I guess.
Yeah.
Because again, the only person we have physically seen that he hurts is Halle Berry. Dumb girl in the beginning, I don't think that she knew enough to be hurt. So we have no like visual...
have any follow up on her either.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss. But we cut to the date that he was supposed to go on with her, and she stands him up. She doesn't make it to the concert they were supposed to go to. He's like calling about her flight. He wasted money on tickets.
She shows.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she shows up at his apartment after, and he's like, this is inconsiderate. And she brings him a single rose. And you're just like, this is his own behavior returned to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And he still doesn't get it. But he's like, well, fuck it. Let's just bone because you have a trench coat with lingerie underneath it.
I'll be honest with you. That does work.
And they have sex again. This is an even longer Vinegar Strokes shot. This is the longest one.
I think this is the one where you see the toes.
This is all, well, you see a bunch of Vinegar Strokes and then the toes.
Don't like it.
And this is the one where he says, I have to call my mother. This one.
Okay.
When she leaves the $200 on the nightstand and leaves, I was like...
I clapped.
I did too,
Is it terrible?
Paige. I laughed. I was like slow clapping. I thought it was hilarious.
Very funny.
I wish that would happen to me.
I mean, I had a guy once leave money for a plan B.
Here, I left $37 on your nightstand.
Oh, wow.
Like straight up on my I came on top of my kitchen table. I was like, oh my God. And I texted him, I was like, you didn't have to do that. And then he just like didn't answer that text.
Oh no.
He was like, maybe I didn't, but you do. Because that nut got away from me.
Oh my God.
God, that's so
funny.
Katrina, I don't know you this well. I gotta stop talking like that. I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm so
worse than
sorry.
Eddie Murphy stuff. I mean, that's bad.
Yeah.
See, again, did not realize until you reacted that was that bad.
See, I would have just snuck out and Venmo'd her. Just like the big X emoji and baby.
Oh no. But yeah, I have heard of that happening. So we cut to them out to dinner the next night with Strange, and Strange doesn't really want to go to the Caribbean. They're trying to like convince her. And Jacqueline goes to the bathroom, and as soon as she does, Strange is just like, so when are you and I gonna fuck? Because Jacqueline says that you're amazing. So like, let me get at that, what that dick do.
Yeah.
And she does the whole speech of like, you're not going to turn down a pussy like this. No man can turn down this pussy. And she's got her skirt up and her legs up. Like everyone can see her
Situation.
Situation.
Downstairs?
Yeah, her downstairs. They can see up inside her.
Her and Eartha Kitt share the same ideals about panties and that they should not be worn specifically around Eddie Murphy.
But Eartha just lets people know.
Yeah.
I did at one point wonder if they paid Eartha per.
Because there's a lot of them.
You just hear her voiceover after a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like Strange goes straight OBGYN with it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. She's like, where's the stirrups? I need to make a point.
She believes in the theory of
Yes.
show, don't tell.
Yeah. But she's showing and tell.
Oh, she's doing both. Yeah, she's a little extra, but yeah.
Showing and screaming in a restaurant.
Demanding sex from him and accuses him of being gay, and that's why he's not into her, displaying her nethers to a whole restaurant. And he's like, yeah, I am gay. And she's like, no, you're not. You just don't want to fuck me.
And then she outs like 3 people in the restaurant. Like,
Which was also funny. The one guy going,
he like looks at like who I would assume is his wife, and it's like, no, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just randomly accusing people, and then she just like stomps off, and Jacqueline has to kind of like smooth it over. But she says to Eddie Murphy, she's like, what happened? And he's like, well, she wanted me to sleep with her, and I don't sleep with people for business. Like, don't expect that of me. And she's like, well, you did it for Lady Eloise. And he's just like, no, I didn't. Who said? Like, he just completely
just still
denies
trying to
it.
stick to that very not working lie.
Yep. But Jacqueline basically goes to the limo and is like, Strange, either you go to the shoot or I sue you and take your money because you're in breach of contract. And she's like, okay, fine, see you tomorrow. So they have like a fight where she's like, I don't feel well. And he's like, don't touch me. It's not like, no one should be treating me that way. And I was like, oh, funny you should mention that because women shouldn't be treated that way. Fucking
right?
asshole.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
but they end up breaking up. And this is where he comes in the next day where Chris Rock is like, hey, she's telling you broke up with her. And the whole office knows about it. And in part because Jacqueline has told the whole office. And all those girls that said hi to Eddie Murphy when he first came into the office, who I assume he had kind of made his way through and made the rounds in that steno
Or
pool,
we're like courting and yeah.
they're all now comparing notes with Jacqueline.
Yes.
And he's kind of on the outs. And it becomes like the rumor about him.
This is like the flip side of the very first scene we see him walking through the lobby. And he like owns the place.
right.
And
Now everyone's laughing
Exactly,
at him.
yeah.
Yep. Well, and it also reminded me of scenes in like Mad Men, wherever one of the girls would be like pressured into sleeping with somebody basically, and then they come to the office the next day and everybody knows. And it's like,
Right. And that's what I felt like they were trying to do with Strange also, was just this full switch, women doing what we think men do, which is tell everyone the second you sleep with someone, and then that person also not having the boundaries to not also want to sleep with you, to like just think that you can be passed around that way.
Yeah.
Which I do feel like is kind of an off perspective, because you can, I mean, not like there aren't women like that, but
I'm
like,
sure there are, but I would say that's not normal.
even that's what I'm saying. Even when Holly Berry earlier, when she's doing her little like detective work and she's talking to her about hooking up with him, I was like, I feel like she would be reacting differently to this.
Yes.
I feel like she wouldn't be so happy about this. Because I've had like girls be like, oh, I want to hook up with that guy because I heard that his like dick is bonkers. And I actually had a crush on that guy. And I was like, stop trying to fuck people for no reason. Leave that corkscrew dick alone. It's mine. Like,
Katrina was like, that dude's in my upline. You can't have him.
Dude's in my upline.
exactly.
I don't care if he's in your downline. He's in my upline.
Right. Exactly.
We cut to the art department with Angela, where she's trying to get the storyboard for the Strange spots, and he tells Nelson, just shoot whatever you want to shoot. Like, you already know about the
Yo.
bananas and the cherries, and you're going to just be like, you have free reign.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's sad, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he does that to get back at her because he's mad
I
or because
do.
he's sad? Okay.
I think he's trying to sabotage shit.
Yeah, because Angela goes to Jacqueline and is like, hey, could you maybe ease up on him? Because it's affecting his work performance.
Yes.
And I think Jacqueline has the correct response of like, I'm not doing anything to him.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're taking this personally, basically.
I mean, I would only argue that at that point, Jacqueline is doing something to him.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying that because Jacqueline just met him. She doesn't know that he's a dog. She's treating him the way she would treat anyone.
I think she does know, though, because I think everyone else knows that he's a dog, and there's no way she hasn't heard about it.
I mean, heard about it at this point, but when I guess in the elevator, she knows him just like any other dude that would try too hard hitting on you and you're a playboy. But she does have parts of like, at the very least, insensitivity to her. And doesn't make you like a villain, but I think also would make you look away to someone who has a crush on someone.
I mean, yes, I understand Angela doing this and asking to do this, but I also feel like from Jacqueline's perspective, she just broke up with him and she's talking about it with people.
Right.
That's all she's done. And
Right.
he's absolutely done the same to other people. And so I feel like Angela doesn't have that context. And so she interprets it as her doing something. But this was one of those moments for me where I'm like, is she doing something, or is this movie putting more weight on her doing the exact same action that he did? So we cut to the meeting where we get to see the commercial that Nelson shot. And holy hell.
To see this much of Strawn J and still be shocked by a commercial is really saying something.
But I was
yes.
shocked though,
Yes.
Katrina. Like
Exactly,
it was
that's what
wow.
I'm saying. I watched it and I was like, oh my God.
Because it's like full nude jungle horror madness.
Yeah.
She like gives birth to the fragrance.
You definitely
and,
see her nip and then kisses it. She
in her butts, and she kisses it.
Yeah.
I just had, and she's wearing like antlers and all kinds of shit.
She's wearing
And I
like a
just have in
twig
my-
skirt. Like it's nuts. The whole thing is nuts.
It reminded me of Ernest Scared Stupid.
But when it cuts back to Nelson and he's watching it, like, oh, this is autist. I love it so
Yeah.
much. Like his reaction shots to the commercial are the best.
He loves it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do too. If I saw that commercial, I'd just be like, what the fuck is this perfume? I need to smell it right now.
I gotta go smell Strawn J's puss. Like, what is this sense that this commercial makes any kind of sense?
And I love that it's Stranger. It stinks so good. Like,
Honestly, it should have been get that stank on you.
put some stank on it.
Yeah.
like stank being in there. Don't birth things and then put stank across the screen. How about that?
Yeah.
So they have a meeting after where they're gonna fire Eddie Murphy. She talks him out of it, but he has to take some time off. So during that time off, he goes with Angela to the paint class where she teaches art to children, and they bring in their collages. And my favorite was the first little like, hello, my Nubian sister. Assalamu alaikum. I was like, that.
And
this
he is
is
definitely a
child.
little boy that plays that little boy in other
Yes.
things. Like he somehow became typecast as an adorable like baby Hotep.
Yes.
And he's like multiple things like that in the 90s, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yes. I also really like, I mean, now Eddie Murphy's kind of making fun of the kids as they do their collages, but I liked the next
So
collage where she's
funny.
like, there's the sun and the rain and the hole in the ozone and this is my house.
She has the perfect attitude also.
Well, because Eddie Murphy's like, well, them fish on the floor are gonna die, and she's like, it doesn't have to make sense to you.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that felt like kind of an improv. Like I didn't
Yeah,
know how
I'd buy
much
that.
of that wasn't just,
There's a bunch of improv in this movie.
But again, the scene is too long.
I was about to say the only thing is that they actually come back.
Yeah.
Is maybe why they spend so much time on them.
Well, these kids do come back because he uses them to emotionally manipulate Halle Berry into coming back into his life.
Right.
Yeah, I do love that he does that. He takes them all the way to her new apartment, and then it's like, all right, cool, you got me in the door. Fuck off, kids. Find your own way home.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that they was just like the girl being like, we need cat fare. And he just like closes the door.
So we cut to Angela has an idea for the Strawn J ad, and it ends up being kind of a collage of footage that they have of Strawn J.
Yeah.
But we cut to them in the editing room and they're going through some of the footage and they're like, is that a nipple or a shadow? Enhance. It's a nipple.
I love how the guy who's doing the enhancing is like, it's a nipple because I'm drooling.
that also made me be like, wait, what? We're just going to cut from this guy. This guy needs to be reported, but we're moving on. All right.
Yep.
Honestly, at this
drooling.
company, that guy's tame.
You're right.
Yeah, for sure. We cut to Thanksgiving at Marcus's house, where we have like a 20-minute Thanksgiving interlude in the middle of this movie and a whole 10-minute scene about coordinating your mushroom outfits.
This is a famous scene that everyone knows about. There's like ads based on it, like John
Yep.
Witherspoon coordinating. Like I
Yes.
woke up, I was getting ready for bed the other night and I had a bunch of stuff on that my mama got me for Christmas. And I sent her a picture that just said, I got on my mom's sleep socks, I got on my mom's sleep pants. And she knew exactly what I was doing. Like you can just say any arrangement of things and people know that you're talking about coordinate. And his parents, I do like that David Allen Greer has super fun parents and he's
I
boring.
do.
Like all the balances are on point. I feel like
Yes.
personality.
Yes. And I love that like they're talking about Marcus's breakup and then they end up having sex in the bathroom. Like
Yes.
it's real Jeff Goldblum Vinegar Strokes energy up in this Thanksgiving. It's wild.
I love the shot of them coming out of the bathroom, and it's just
Yes.
like David on Greer.
And he puts the mushroom jacket on inside out.
Yeah. And then they walk by and David Allen Greer and Eddie Murphy just look at each other and like for like, I don't know, a good 10 seconds. And then Eddie Murphy just goes in and hugs him. I thought that was so funny. It was so good.
It was
But
funny.
again, in terms of editing, we have a whole holiday in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what? To establish that David Allen Greer and Halle Berry aren't a couple?
Right.
Like what is, besides John Witherspoon and
Yeah.
them not being a couple, what is this for?
And there's only 20 minutes left in the movie. So like we spent all this time, we spent as much time at this Thanksgiving as we will basically spend in the rest of the movie building a love story.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
he and Halle Berry aren't even together yet.
Paige, the first like hour and 40 minutes of this movie are boom, and like the last 20 minutes are the orang part of it. It's wild.
That's funny.
So everyone leaves and Angela stays to help Marcus with the dishes. And they end up sitting on the couch watching Star Trek after because they're super tired.
Yeah.
And he does accurately describe who dies on every Star Trek mission. That is 100% true.
There's actually a great book called Red Shirts by John Scalise where they figure it
Yes.
out.
Yep.
I love that fucking book.
My favorite is in Galaxy Quest where they do it. And he's like, I'm just crew member number 4. Like, I'm never going to survive.
What's your real name? Guy. I
Guy.
fucking love that. Galaxy Quest is the best.
Yes, but they talk about James Tiberius Kirk and Spock Jenkins.
Yeah.
But they end up kissing and cuddled, and then we fade to black. We don't see them have sex. We
Right.
only find out about it later. We see the new Stranger commercial, which is definitely better, well, better, air quotes, than the other one. It's
Yeah.
boring compared to the other one.
It's more airable.
I think you still see a nipple in it though.
You 100% still
So
see a
it's
nipple
not
because I
airable.
backed up and paused it.
So they like the commercial and the new copy that is just do something crazy instead of it stinks too good. So we cut to he's playing pool with his friends. And this is where we get Martin Lawrence's ideas about
Theory.
about pool being about racial white dominance. And here it kind of makes sense.
It does, yeah.
Until he's like, then this is the flat earth. And you're like, well, wait a second. Like,
You
hold
had
on.
me until flat Earth, right? Yeah.
You had me until flat earth.
Which is also funny for him to finally make sense. And then like
Yes.
he immediately pulls it back to be
Yeah.
like, nope, you're insane.
Nope. He goes to get more beers, which leaves David Allen Greer and Eddie Murphy to talk about Angela. And David Allen Greer's like, I like Angela as a friend. It's not going anywhere. But he's mad at Eddie Murphy for pursuing her because he feels like he's not going to treat her right and he's going to just
Right.
abandon her.
Right, because he likes her as a person.
Yeah, I really did like that David Allen Greer did seem mad because, or maybe more so because he knew he was going to treat her bad and she deserves better.
Yep.
Unless
Yeah.
that he wanted to be with her, right? Because they are just friends.
I don't think it's about claim
Yeah.
as much as I think he cares about her as a friend and doesn't want her to
Yes.
get hurt.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Which I
Yes.
really liked.
And as they're having that conversation, Martin Lawrence comes back to the table and he has not stopped talking since he left. So when he comes back mid-sentence. He's like, see, when we rise as a people. And I was just like, who was he talking to?
I loved that. I love Martin Lawrence in this movie. He's so great. But you're right. He is pretty much like a conspiratorial version of his character in Martin,
Yes.
which is probably just him as a person.
Probably. We cut to back at Marcus's house. He and Angela are kind of relaxing. She's been painting. He's in the shower. She gets him out to show him her new paintings, which I really like. Those paintings are cool as shit.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the phone rings and it's Jacqueline. And he gets to present the commercial. And Angela's not super on board that Jacqueline's kind of getting involved that way.
Well, I think she knows Jacqueline's like triggers and what Jacqueline's going to do. Like she can tell. And because Jacqueline saw Halle Berry and Eddie Murphy like being sort of canoodly in the meeting where they first presented.
I think she didn't like that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what got Jacqueline jealous. And so Halle Berry sort of knows what's coming, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. Unlike when I showed my feet on the webcam, she knows what's about to happen.
How could you not know what was coming with that?
It's not like it's the first time we've seen your feet. They definitely introduced Demon Night a couple weeks ago. But like, so we cut to the board meeting and they're basically putting everyone back on the elevator. And it's the French board from Paris and they love the spot, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
And Jacqueline is complimenting Marcus and she kind of roasts him a little bit of like, you're incredibly talented and I thank you. Lady Eloise thanks you. And I'm pretty sure Stranger wants to thank you. And he's like, yeah, haha.
She wants to think my brains out.
Yeah. She says, it's nice to have the old Marcus back. I was worried. And she turns the lights out. And then she negs him where she's like, you seemed desperate and unsure of yourself, but look at you now.
Yeah.
Then turns the lights out again. And then we cut to him sneaking back into bed with Angela. And as he does, her eyes open because she knows.
Yeah. I did love, if you listen to the music in that scene where he's sneaking back in the bed, it's like a sneaky saxophone. And then it ends on like a regular like walk down to the note that the key of the music is in. And then she opens her eyes and it goes, bwang. like it's the trailer for Inception. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But he left money on her dresser so there won't be an Inception.
I was really mad that her speech worked on him, though.
Oh,
Me too.
Yeah,
yes.
same.
Like, when she started talking, I was waiting for him to like big mistake huge her. And I was just like, are
Yeah.
you fucking kidding me, dude? I was so disappointed in his
That would have
character.
been character growth.
Yep.
That would have been character growth. I would have been here for
Yeah,
it.
agreed.
But he doesn't. But he says, when Angela confronts him the next morning, he says that he went for a walk to sort things out. And she said, so you're still in love with Jacqueline? And he said, well, I saw her and stuff happened. And sometimes you can't control things like that. And I'm like, you can. And she makes a very good argument of what do you know about love? And she's like, you treat love like it's something that you just catch like a disease and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Love should have brought your ass home last night.
Yeah.
I love this speech.
Yes.
But she's 1,000% right.
No, I mean, come on, guys. Do you want to go home to your plain girlfriend,
Halle Berry?
Just your ho-hum Holly Berry.
Yeah, the girl next door, Halle Berry. She could just be a cashier at Walgreens kind of woman.
I mean, Robin Givens is gorgeous too, but like, it's Halle Berry, guys.
It's Halle Berry.
I'd have been on the elevator with the French like board. I'd have been like, yeah, we all gotta go. I gotta get home.
Like she had to go
Yep.
no makeup, no lipstick, or like
Yeah.
visible makeup for a whole movie.
Yeah,
Just to make this borderline believable.
It's not even.
Yeah,
It's not.
and it's
She's
not.
like, they put her in these big flowing, like, that's Halle Berry.
Exactly. You're still Holly Berry in a burlap sack.
Yeah.
You're fooling
Yeah.
no one. Like
Yep.
I'm like, you make that burlap sack look like so good.
I do love that she just immediately breaks up with him, where she's just like,
Yes.
I deserve better. I don't care about your shit. Get the fuck out of my life. I'm out.
and not like it's so great, but I did like that he didn't lie to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't not like it would have lasted long, but he didn't know that.
Yeah. Now, this is also where he walks out and the neighbor tries to console him about it. And she's got the one curler and then another
Yeah.
curler over here.
I love Yvonne. She's so funny.
She is very funny.
She's just, well, jump out the balcony then. Then we cut to him at Jacqueline's where it looks like they're about to have sex and he's like, I can't do this. I gotta go. I'm in love with somebody. And she's like, Angela. And she says, if you're in love with her, then why are you here? And he says, exactly. And then he comes home and
Yeah.
finds a note from her that she's picked up all her stuff. So yeah, it's not a flashback. He definitely he cheated on her. It's a bummer. We cut to Martin Lawrence's house where he basically engineers it so David Allen Greer and Eddie Murphy can hug it out and let
yes,
bygones
yes.
be bygones.
Oh my gosh, when he's deep frying, I don't know what.
I think it's chicken, but it's a very small deep fryer.
Yeah.
That's what, but also the oil is comical in this
It's
scene
up
because
to the brim.
There are
Yes.
shots where people are talking and you see it popping up out of the bottom of the shot. Like,
Yes.
whatever that is so comically high to be greased.
It's so
And
nuts.
then does his bag, the bottom of his bag
Yes.
drops out? That was what I was like, oh, you're frying
That's what made
something
me think
and
it was
shaking it up.
chicken, is because the paper
same.
bag fried chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does find out from David Allen Greer that Angela changed jobs. She left and got promoted to creative director.
Yeah.
And they all hug it out. The lights in the Empire State Building come out.
They come on. Yeah.
They come on. Yeah.
And that's the, I guess, the conclusion of the shot before when him and Robin Givens like break up and call it off. That light goes out, so now it comes back on. I like that a lot. I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, I only saw the second one.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
first time it happens was when him and Robin Givens break up, and that's when he starts like being sad and like his work isn't going great. And
That's when his little light went
Yeah.
out.
I love
and then
overt
his
shit
friends
like that.
turned it back on. I'll fucking fight you.
I liked it a lot.
That's pretty cute.
So we cut to Angela's office. The kids come to visit her, and we find out that she's had this new job for 4 months and 2 weeks. So she and Eddie Murphy have been broken up for almost 5 months at this point.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I kind of had to start looking out for me. And they're like, well, our new teacher brought us. And it's Eddie Murphy who has used these children to manipulate her. And she does not let him get off easy necessarily, where she's like, you fucked all of it up. You should have thought about that shit before you fucked shit up. And then his apology is dog shit.
Yeah, it
where
is
he's
pretty
like,
bad.
I missed you. I never missed anyone, and I miss you. And then she's like, I deserve better. And I'm like, yes, you do. And he's like,
What about me though?
well, yeah, it's basically, what about me though? And he's like, why are you being so cold? And I'm like, because you hurt her. Like,
Yeah.
you cheated on her, you fucking asshole.
This is what made me feel like he still hadn't learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's like waiting for his, what
Yeah.
he feels is deserved of him. And I was like, you still don't fully get this.
You don't get it.
Because you think
And-
your stunt with the kids did more than, you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, and she's like, give me one reason I should take you back. And she's like, and he doesn't say anything. She's like, I didn't think you could. And he's like, well, you still love me. And then she turns and is like, yes, and I'm scared. But I'm just like, no, like,
And why didn't he have anything to say?
I don't know.
Why was that such a thing? When she was like, I knew it, I was like, why did you know it? I would have waited for him to maybe say something.
Right?
He says nothing. He just stares. It couldn't even be like, you're the only one that I can watch Star Trek with. You're the only one that understands this. You're so creative. You're so, like, 1.5 million things.
Right.
That it could have been
He just says he can't breathe.
without her.
Yeah.
Too bad. Get an inhaler,
Which is
bitch.
very abstract. As a marketer, it's like never believe anything that a marketer tells you in the thralls of an emotion that could also be copy, because that is just our knee-jerk reaction of how we describe everything. It is not as poignant as you think it is. It's like the stuff I say that means the most sounds way less like you're my moon and stars than the stuff that he said. That's like his default at this point.
Yeah, honestly, never trust a marketer and anything in general. Like,
Don't trust the Fae.
Yeah.
Don't trust a marketer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing.
yeah.
They all take you to worlds that don't exist.
And we cut to them walking down the sidewalk together, and she kind of roasts him for looking at another girl on the sidewalk.
Well, it doesn't roast him. She's like, you better not look at her.
yeah.
She drops the F word.
Yeah.
I'll fucking cut your head off. And I was like, whoa.
Well, and then he's like, I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at that mother too.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is the start of something really probably unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then he threatens her. He's like, you got to watch out. You may end up like her. There ain't no man in that picture. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
And that's the movie.
That's the movie.
Yeah.
Do I get to do it too? Yay.
Yeah, you do.
You guys think they're still together?
No.
God, I hope not for her sake.
Okay. Instead of how, if they're still together, because we all agree they're not, how long do you think they stayed together?
A few months.
How long do you
Few
think they
months.
made it before, cheated on
Yeah.
her or
Yeah, a few
something? Okay,
months.
yes, that's what I wanted to know.
They're
Yeah.
like, our company's hiring an HR director. And they're like, oh, no.
Oh, fuck, I'm fired. I gotta go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were just going to say they hired a new woman. And she was going to be like, oh, no. I was just going to be like,
I think Eartha Kitt gets back in the picture.
Yeah. She takes back over the company and then it gets real dark. Yeah.
just no context. The movie pans out and you just see Eartha Kitt come in and do one last purr. That would have been great.
Like she's just
Looks
like
like my
lurking from the shadows.
downline is, yeah.
Yeah. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about Boomerang?
It has some really funny pieces of it. I think I struggle to like it as a whole, but there are some scenes in it that are just iconic and hilarious.
Yeah, when you said it felt a little sketchy, like there are sketches in this movie, I feel like some of the sketches are great and very watchable. And then the rest of the movie, like the movie as a whole, isn't great and super watchable. But I would watch the movie again because some of the sketches are really good.
Are fun.
Yeah, they're really funny.
I feel the same way about this that I feel about a bunch of Judd Apatow movies where you cut a half hour out of them and it'd be a better movie.
That's very valid.
I liked it. I think it tried to say some interesting things from a male perspective, but I think it fails with the times, I think. I think that thinks it's progressive and then like you're not looking ahead enough.
And probably was in 92, but now it's not at all.
It's like we don't even need a dowry to marry this woman.
Subculturally, I think that what you're saying about it thinking it's more progressive than it is, or the way it reads now, is possibly also indicative of Black culture and what looks like the discussions that people were having being things that people weren't talking about, and maybe all of mainstream being in a different version of that conversation. Not like literally behind or anything, but just having different language around certain things and things like that, that I would be like, oh, I absolutely know people that have in the past or whatever, and it being like, oh yeah, they made a movie where people were just talking like that.
I think it's representation. It's still very, very progressive, but I think romantic comedies in general are just fucking terrible.
That's fair too.
That's true.
Like representation wise, like that's still progressive now of like Black owned businesses and things, but they should probably still have an HR department.
Absolutely. They needed one.
I feel like even when Paige immediately started pointing out plot flaws, that I was like, oh yeah, that is valid. And I was just too excited about all the other things happening to notice. I think I was distracted from the flaws in this movie the first time. But I would
easy
definitely go
for
back.
that to happen because like
Well, then when you talk about something for 4 hours, it's easy to really learn the flaws and focus on them.
oh god, this is a really long recording.
Yeah.
So fun facts, yes.
Yeah, so here it is with your fun facts.
Boomerang, fun
Fun
facts.
facts.
So I don't have a ton of financial fun facts purely because their jobs would allow them to afford those houses, even in New York at the time. So everything's pretty aligned. They would have been making somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000 annually. And then if you adjust that for inflation, it's almost $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
And because when you think about it, these cosmetics companies are portrayed as huge. This is like L'Oreal.
They're a global organization. Yeah.
Yeah. And
their board is in France. Yeah.
the board is in France and they're the heads of marketing.
Yeah.
So like they're making fucking bank.
Yeah.
They can afford everything in this movie. And we don't see a lot of stuff outside that, if that makes sense. I do know that some of Eddie Murphy's suits were thousands of dollars each, but I would expect that of an executive of that stature. Now, John Witherspoon's scenes about coordinating were added after filming had wrapped.
Oh.
At Eddie Murphy's request, he demanded that they be added to the film. Witherspoon picked his outfit himself and completely improvised his lines.
Oh my God. He's so great.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Also, they shot so much movie and then added that.
Yeah.
Oh, they shot whole plot lines that got cut out of this movie.
It's like an epic.
It's like Annie Hall or
That's what I was
some
about to
shit.
say. Was it supposed to be more than one movie? Why were they even trying to make this one movie?
I don't even know. Halle Berry's the only actress who auditioned for the part of Angela. She was the first person they saw, and they cast her immediately
She
after.
was just plain enough.
Yeah. They were like, man, you are just bland enough to get this role perfect.
Yeah, right. They were like, get this fine broad on set. I want to look at her every day.
On the flip side, the studio tried to make them cast someone different than Robin Givens because of what was happening with her in the news at the time. She was married to Mike Tyson, and the media had branded her a gold digger.
What?
Now, yes, because they didn't realize at the time that she was in a horrifyingly abusive relationship with Mike Tyson and is fully a victim. That poor woman, the media treated her terribly.
Well, even after the fact, they still kind of treat her that way because she doesn't come off that great on camera as herself. She comes off cold as hell, and it made people very easily
It made people not like her. And because at the time, people didn't have the understanding that it's like anyone can be victimized. And just because she doesn't appear the way that you have victims, depicted in your head.
Like how they blame parents for not being sad enough on the news. Like that kind of thing they did with her.
That's insane.
She was legitimately borderline tortured. Like right now we're in a renaissance of like people getting biopics and documentaries that kind of reclaims the media narrative from this time. Like we've, found out a lot more about the reality of what it was like to be Monica Lewinsky, but also Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl. I've been watching Pam and Tommy. Like, I hope Robin Givens gets one of these because holy shit, did the media treat her terrible. I was just like, ugh.
I had no idea any of that happened, but just because I was alive at the time, but like I wasn't
we're like
paying
children.
I wasn't paying attention to what was going on
Bro,
with
like
Mike
a
Tyson.
movie about love. Ugh.
Yeah. Where are my G.I. Joes?
Exactly.
They pushed back against the studio and were like, that's exactly why we should cast her, because people could buy her as cold and controlling.
Yep.
Which is like
Oof.
dark. The other person they considered was Vanessa Williams.
Ooh, I can see that.
I mean, Vanessa Williams would have been great too. She's great. But like, I think Robin does a great job in this.
She just waited till Ugly Betty to get hers.
Exactly. So Boomerang is noteworthy for being the most expensive movie with an all black cast at the time. I do believe we have surpassed this potentially now, but I don't want to give away box office information, but it does triple that budget in returns.
And I wondered if people saw this in movie theaters because we're too little to know. Okay.
Yeah. So Eartha Kitt was reluctant to take the role of Lady Eloise because she found her lines offensive and ageist and made them delete them from the script.
Oh, what was she supposed to be like?
I don't know.
They probably talked mad shit about her, I bet.
I bet they did. And I bet it was a lot more like even the part about turn the lights out darker, I really didn't like because it's Eartha fucking Kitt. Show some respect. But,
Right?
If they were going to, don't cast Eartha Kitt.
The scene where Halle Berry slaps Eddie Murphy is real. She actually hit him.
Woo, I feel it.
Yeah, yep. And the scene where they hug in front of the Empire State Building was actually shot at 2 a.m. when the tower lights shut off. And then they reversed the footage to make it appear that the lights turned on.
Awesome.
So that's why
they
they hold that
boomeranged it.
hug a
Cool.
little bit longer. But it's because it would have cost an extra $60,000 for them to turn the lights on for the shot.
Jesus, that's crazy.
They strategeried to get it at the right time.
That is so smart.
Yep. The shot of Stranger walking naked through an airport was actually part of an alternate plot line where Stranger would just like be naked in public and it was a PR issue. And it originally took place within the film, but then they cut that plot line. So they cut it together to make that perfume commercial.
Awesome. Okay.
Reginald Hudlin, the director, and he also contributed some to the script, based Marcus's obsession with women's feet on a friend of his who would not date a woman if he didn't like her back teeth. Who sees the back teeth? Those aren't even the ones in the front.
Was he a dentist?
I don't know.
They're still important. The back teeth are important.
Of course, Mikey's on their side. That's amazing. Okay.
The back teeth are important for certain things.
Yeah.
Either that or he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Because they're good to keep and dip in gold.
I like to collect back teeth. Like what?
The entire cast rehearsed for 2 weeks before filming started. And Eddie Murphy told the director that he had never rehearsed since his time on Saturday Night Live. And he figured he should probably do it for all of his movies from then on. So
Wow.
that explains a little bit of why some of his other movies are not as cohesive.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Around the end of production, they had to do a bunch of reshoots. And so they did them in Washington, D.C. instead because Eddie Murphy was also shooting Distinguished Gentlemen at the time.
I love that movie. I'm sorry. Unapologetically love that movie.
Is that where he gets elected to Congress?
Yeah, because he has the same name as a former candidate who passed away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that far.
So wait, they just first presidented him? Because
Yeah,
Chris
basically.
Rock? Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay.
If you remember when they did Avengers reshoots and had to make like a face plate over Chris Evans's beard, or when they've had to like Photoshop mustaches back on Henry Cavill, they didn't have that technology at the time. So they had to be very strategic about the angles that they shot Eddie Murphy at, because he was supposed to look different for Distinguished Gentleman than he does in this film,
Okay.
just slightly with hair stuff. But sometimes you can kind of see where it's maybe not exact. So the man who was the cinematographer of this film, Woody Omens, was demanded by Eddie Murphy, who had previously worked with him on Harlem Nights, which was 1989, which they did not rehearse for, and it shows. But that's another movie that has some really fucking hilarious pieces in it, and just it doesn't coalesce into a whole story well. I mean, it has one, it's just not great. John Witherspoon plays a character who says bang, bang, bang when referring to sex. He actually says the same exact thing in Vampire in Brooklyn, which was in 1995, so right after this. So he just like...
And he does it in the Wayans Brothers.
And he does it in the
their
Wayans
thing.
Brothers.
That's his like callback all the time when he's giving them advice. Bang, 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 bang. Because I saw him do that and I was like, is this the first time he bang, 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 banged?
This is one of the first times it's on screen.
Oh my gosh,
And then
that's so funny.
It ends up in a bunch of other things, and Eddie Murphy puts him in like everything after this.
Always.
And again, he opens Vampire in Brooklyn by saying, ahoy, motherfucker. And it's one of the best things on screen.
Yeah.
And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk some box office. So, Paige did mention this was a very expensive movie for the time. So, any guesses? And Paige, I'm sure you're going to have to recuse yourself.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Katrina and Mikey, what do you think the production budget was for Boomerang?
15. I say 15.
I was going to say 25.
Okay. It was actually $42 million. So if you adjust that for inflation, if you adjust that for inflation, that's $84.1 million today. But again, in 91 or 92, it was $42 million budget.
Is that just to go to New Orleans and stuff? And I guess they're in a big building, but like...
I don't even think they went to New Orleans. I think they just used a building.
They didn't have to. Yeah, what?
Because all of New Orleans is like internal shots, right? Okay, so this movie did come out in 92. It came out July 3rd, 1992, and it was number 3 in the theaters. It got beat by Batman Returns and A League of Their Own. That was number 2 that week. Boomerang was number 3. Sister Act was number 4, or as I like to call it, Nundercover.
Yes.
And Unlawful Entry was number 5 that week.
I don't know what Unlawful Entry.
Yeah, that's the only one of those 5 movies I don't know.
But those 4 are...
All of those are
heavy
hitters for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think Boomerang brought in its first weekend out?
I'll say 20 million.
All right, Mikey, what do you say?
32.
All right. It made $13.6 million in its opening weekend. Now, if you adjust for inflation, that's 27.3. But again, in 92, it was $13.6 million. So interesting facts about this. It was 3rd in the box office for 3 weeks. In fact, in its second week out, Batman Returns dropped from 1st to 4th, and Boomerang stayed in 3rd. Universal Soldier came out that week and was number 2. And then the next weekend, this is the weekend of July 17th, 92. Again, Boomerang was 3rd, but Honey, I Blew Up the Kids was 1st, and A League of Their Own dropped to 2. And then Universal Soldier and Sister Act. So like it stayed on the charts for a long time. Yeah. And that's not very common on the box office. Normally you hit and then fall. And it hit and then maintained for a few weeks and then started to fall, which is normal, right?
And that's what I'm wondering. It's like one of those things that you told everyone they had to go see.
That's what I'm thinking too, right? Like the people who loved Eddie Murphy movies probably saw it that first weekend and then they told their friends like, hey, you should see it. It's good, right? That's what I was thinking too. Okay, so what do you think it brought in just domestically in the box office in 92?
You said it was that for the 3 weeks and that would be like 30 million. I'll say 100 million for that year.
Mikey, what do you think?
90.
All right. Mikey, you're closer. It's actually it's $70 million, right? But if you adjust for inflation, that's roughly $140 million. And then, as Paige alluded to, it actually did triple the budget in its box office because it brought in $61 million internationally for a total of $131 million, which, if you adjust for inflation, is $262.2 $6 million. So it made a lot of money.
Whoa.
For a very expensive movie, maybe more of a gamble, it did very, very well. It was a good gamble. But that is your box office. So this week, Katrina, you made us watch Boomerang. Oh, and it's my week next week.
It's your week next week.
Yay!
That's right. I actually already told you guys, maybe off mic. I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast. But the movie I'm going to make you guys watch next week is a movie called Brown Sugar.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
It's like a triple Sanaa Lathan month.
It is, yeah. So your homework for next week is to get wine drunk and watch Brown Sugar. Katrina, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We appreciate it. Can you tell people where they can find more of your content?
For sure. You can find me at Katrina Savad on everything. It's just Davis backwards, SIVAD. And then if you like listening to me talk with Paige and Todd and Mikey, then check out Pavant-Garde, which also has episodes with Paige on because we're mad crossover incestuous and it's awesome. And we talk about art. It's basically two of my very smart fine art friends. And then I make jokes in between about all the art that I'm learning about. It's great.
Awesome. Well, that's great.
Yay.
So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on two other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So, guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at MRandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Toodle pip.
I'm trying to remember a line from this.
Coordinate. My owner already pissed because we sort of late, but our time and our clothes gotta coordinate.
I love Chris Bridges. Bye! Ludicrous nerds.